Good evening. It's our monthly council meeting. It's April 16th. With that, we'll do the roll call, please.
Roll call, Mayor Ryland
Here.
Councilor Paul here, Councilor Phillips here, Councilor Richards here, Councilor Irv here. And then staff further.
Next item is our agenda. And I have a couple items I'd like to move around and add one. We'll start at the back under Public Works. Point number one, regarding our seasonal groundkeeper, janitor position, and that'll all be covered with item A, number 5, updates on other part-time and full-time opportunities.
And Public Works, item I, number 5.
I, Public Works,
Number
number 1, yes.
Okay, so it will be covered under.
And that'd be covered under updates with Jason's
Okay.
portion. Under planning and zoning, we'll remove action item number 3, motion to approve the council. That was done in the April meeting. So,
Okay.
Under water and sewer, item number 4, it's letter C. Point number 4, action to request quotes for appraisal of Cedar Woodlands 2 drain field, and that's the drawing that you have in front of you. And I'll explain that when we get to that point. And
When is that running?
under water and sewer,
Okay.
adding number 4.
Yep.
Request quotes for appraisal of Cedar Woodlands 2 drain field. And I think that's it.
I would like to add under Public Works, number 3, and discussion and inspection by Public Works versus CMS for the water and sewer connections.
That'd be number 5.
It'd be number 4 under Public Works.
Will be number 3,
Number 3, excuse me,
under I.
under Public Works.
So under section I, we moved 1, and so it would be a new number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other would be number 1, this would be number
Okay.
And would you repeat what it was?
2. Inspection by Public Works versus CMS for water and sewer connections.
Sewer and water, or just sewer?
Both sewer and water.
Okay. Any other updates? Okay, so we have heading inspection. The Public Works under Public Works, but quotes for appraisal under water and sewer. And including the Public Works seasonal with Jason's point number 5. I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next is our public forum, the 3-minute time limit per person. The City Council welcomes and encourages participation from community members. Please keep in mind that your comments must be pertinent to city business and must adhere to data privacy rules. No employees' names may be used. Please do not expect action from the council this evening regarding your concerns. To address the City Council during public forum, please step up to the podium, state your name and address, and fill out the form provided. And speakers will be recognized only once. You will be timed, beginning with speaking with the green card that Renee will hold up. The yellow card indicates you have 30 seconds left, and the red card indicates you have reached your 3-minute time limit and stop. So with that, those that would like to speak, come to the podium, state your name and address.
Name is Charles Ripkelvis. I live at 425 2nd Avenue Northeast. And I came in tonight. I was asked to come in. And I guess the reason I'm here is that there's no water up to my sewer hookup. And this is what I was sent before, saying I would get it. On the second page, it states the assessment for the wastewater, which is 88. Third page, it goes into your total wastewater and water system fee is 88, which I don't understand why. That's fine if that's all I'm charged. I'm wondering what I should do, because I don't have any water hookup at the bottom of the hill. What am I supposed to do? I don't want to have them trench up with just the wastewater pipe, and then later down the line have to do the same thing with the water, which doesn't make any sense. So I was hoping you could come up with some kind of idea what I should do and if I should wait or.
Well, that's a good question. We can. Your water and sewer committee, unless Joe, you'd have any comment.
I do if I could. This simply says you were assessed for wastewater. You didn't get a water assessment because you don't have a water service. You are kind of on the outskirts of town and one of the parcels that we didn't provide a water service to, just because you're difficult to get to in terms of where the water is relative to you. Doesn't mean that it couldn't be done. One of the things that I think would be helpful for the council to know is, do you want water service? And if you do, understand that you'd be assessed for that water service, but you could theoretically get it. There's a cost to that. You haven't been assessed for water because you don't get it. It wasn't provided to you like others, but if you want it, it could be provided. It would be costly to get it to you, and you would be assessed for those costs, if that makes sense. I'll be happy to visit with you out in the hall if there are other things that we
Yeah,
could.
you would.
Sure. That's
Yeah,
okay.
That's a starting point. We go further. So, okay, you can stick around for. Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
Super.
Wow.
Thank you. Second call for anybody who'd like to speak. Forum.
Hi, I'm Jody Williamson. I live at 1135 First Street Northwest in Orinoco. I'm here regarding the connection of our houses to the city water. And we live on a 4-party well. It's west of 52, dead ends on First Street Northwest. It's a 4-party well. We have an excellent well system, so we're not real keen on connecting to the water. We understand we need to do that. We assume that Peterson Well, who had been working on our well all these decades, would be able to do the work. And this spring, we learned that that is not going to happen for several reasons. I've learned more about trenching and drilling and cuts, water cuts or curb cuts than I cared to know. Our curb cut for our water and all of the other 4 on our well, I'm only speaking for the 4 neighbors on our well. The placement is in a very odd place. It's going to be very expensive. The curb cut is on the opposite side of our driveway, our concrete driveway. And two of our other neighbors are on the well are also on the opposite end. Nobody can figure out why the curb cuts were put where they were. No one from Stanek talked to us. Nobody came up. We didn't know what the consequences were. Now we know what the consequences are. So there's trench drilling, you know, where they trench your yard. They bring in a backhoe and trench. It's a mess. The curb cuts that we have don't allow for trenching. And Sean Peterson can do trenching, but he cannot do direct drilling, which is different and more expensive. Direct drilling goes down and under, and it's more exact, and it's a lot more expensive. So we have to do that so we don't rip up our concrete driveways to get to the house. So now we're facing this date in May to get ourselves our water connected. And we're told, we did find a driller, CBR Drilling, who's going to do it. We have no idea what the cost is. We're asking the council to consider waiving the $75 fee or penalty for those homeowners who are in good faith compliance with getting their water connected. We've all got our permits. We've all got our little water meters. Now we're waiting for CBR to come in with the plumber and do the work. I don't think it's going to be done by May. And so all we're asking is good faith waiver of the fee until we can get connected. That's what I'm asking on behalf of us.
I can just speak to the clarification of the timing. So with the timing, it's, the first water bill we receive will be in the July reading currently. So you have till about the end of May before the water meter. So it's like May 28th, 29th. So just give you, weren't aware of that. We were talking earlier May, but that's just a.
CBR doesn't know. They're gonna try. And Ellingson is not gonna do direct drilling. There was some talk about Ellingson coming in and doing direct drilling for the property owners. Ellingson has told us no. That's why we found CBR.
Are they telling you they won't do it?
They won't do it. They can do it.
Okay.
They can do direct drilling, but they won't do it for the residents who are trying to get their water in. That's why we found CBR. And they're out of Dexter. Okay, thank you very much. I left my little sheet here. Okay.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
I'm Diane Oslin, 1360 Riverwood Drive, and I am one of two sisters. We had a whole program that we were going to use our 3 minutes for, but Jason is trying so hard to get this worked out. We need a permit and we're struggling, working through these fees. And our biggest problem right now is we need to fulfill the development agreement that you guys approved. In that agreement, there was an cash outlay of $38,000 that we needed to do in order to get our permit. Tom and I dropped off a check for $24,000, $349.77. And we are asking that we can use Tom's credit of $10,000, $755 to satisfy that cash requirement. Okay, and I understand we're speaking tonight, you can't respond nor take action. So that's what we're asking for the requirement, the cash requirement, so that we can get our permit. What we're working on and Jason is working on is he had required a $38,500 fee for the city of Orinoco. I don't know if you're aware of this, which is unbelievable. And also on top of that, for the state of Minnesota, an $11,856,000 fee. So it's almost $50,000 in building fee, which is about five times the amount of any city in Minnesota or pretty much the country. So when we tried to pick up the building or the building permit, Beneke was going to explain to that, but we have examples of how that is out of line, and I think that Jason has worked on that. We were going to request a special council meeting if that's what's needed to change those rates, to look at the rates. We've brought many examples of different cities and how the rates compare, if that's of any help to you. And also to figure out why there are two different permit fees, one for 11,000, one for 38,000. So if we could get those figured out and get our building permit, it would be so much appreciated. So that is our ask for tonight. And we have, again, brought information for comparisons. And we do appreciate, Jason, everything you have done to work with us. And I know that you guys all want to get this done. And we do too. We need that permit.
And also understand the project is at a standstill right now. We cannot move any further. So Two Sisters is at pause. These are other cities in the state of Minnesota to show. So you can see how different our rates are. I gave you history. What you do?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Gave you the time. I printed off Mankato, Duluth, Minneapolis, Rochester. I even looked in New York City. New York City is a fraction of even these fees. So I would actually be better off building in this New York City, Manhattan, believe it or not.
Sounds pretty crazy.
It costs about $7,000. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Third and final call for public forum. Seeing none, we'll close public forum at 6:50. With that, our first item, Jason, if you want to.
Yeah.
Up with your session.
No, I've got a few updated stuff. So obviously coming into this, I was advised that there would be some hiring that I'd have to do, things like that. With that background checks are part of the hiring process that I look into. I have reached out to two different companies for ID verification, as one called them, and background checks, as the other one called them. TransUnion, TLO, which there's a sheet behind my stuff here that kind of gives a breakdown of their cost. And then Higher Right, which is another one. I'm familiar with both of these through my previous employer. They utilize both. So looking at this, the purchase, TLO is very similar to what Higher Right does as far as a breakdown cost. They didn't have anything they give me, but there's some stuff online. And so with this, I want to be able to ask to utilize these products to conduct background and ID check verification before future employment hires as we proceed to grow the city. So that's kind of looking at that as to what those are. And it gives a breakdown of, depending on what we're looking at, what we're doing. Obviously, we would not use all these fees, but this is a per item thing that they do. If you look at the TLO, it just gives a breakdown of, okay, if we're going to do an advanced search, it's 40 cents for that. It's doing, all these different driver's license searching and things like that. There's a slight fee that's associated with it and adds up usually, I think it was around $110 a person, more or less, when doing background stuff. They do offer services for companies that are hiring tens to hundreds of people a year type thing at a rate, but I don't think that would necessarily fit us. So looking at that, just for future purchases or future hirings, I'd like to be able to utilize the background process with one of these companies.
So what are you suspecting the average cost?
I think the average
Based
cost
on
was
these.
around, I think they said, could range anywhere depending on what your service is, you're looking around $100 per person. Which I don't think is an unreasonable, and it covers a lot of different things to get in there, but it really depends on what you're looking at, and I think it depends on the position. You know, for maybe a seasonal person, I'm not gonna go as deep into a background check versus if I'm hiring like a finance officer or something like that. I'm looking for different things, so we've got a little bit of play and room with these to kind of go, okay, yep, these are what we'll use for these, or these are what we won't use, things like that.
I think that the time savings too is important, that you'd have, you know, that you'd be spending for city staff to do that and to try to do a complete, you know, background check off of it, so.
I just wonder, I don't know, have we done it?
My understanding is we have done,
Oh, in depth.
stuff in the past, but it's definitely not to this depth, so. And I just think that we haven't utilized the resources out there for these kind of purposes, which I think are beneficial, so.
Well, I think as the city's growing, it does make sense to have that, especially with a company that knows how to do it and get through it thoroughly on whatever we might need, so.
And you can kind of see in here, oh, sorry, I have the prices in here. So TLO, they're approximately $48 for their ID verification. Higher rate was 77 to 107. And even though higher rate, they are compliant with the Fair Credit Reporting Act as well, so some of the government regulations that the information they're providing is in line with what needs to, you know, they're allowed to provide basically to a third party who contracts with them. And TransUnion is the same way, I just didn't put that in there. But they've got a lot of.
There's 100 versus 48, I mean, it seems.
And that's their, so the TLO does not use as much. That's where I said, depending on the job, would be a utilization of what are we gonna look into. So there's different stuff that TLO would not look into versus the higher rate, like they've got different criteria of stuff and their pricing is different. So, which is again, part of it as well. And like I said, with my previous employer, we've actually utilized both of them because they do kind of have similarities, but where they overlap, but they also provide a slightly different features as well. So, and again, unfortunately, I didn't have the higher rate paperwork to give.
But looking at this, it looks like TransUnion is a cheaper way to go.
Yes.
You know, so, I think that let's see if we can, I'll make a motion. Go ahead.
The question I had, well, I guess what I would like to see, Jason, is if we, you know, by position that we have, I mean, cause this is pretty broad. If we can have kind of an outline of which services for each position. You know what I'm saying? To say, okay, for a city clerk, we do this, or.
Yep, I'm fine with that. And this, to me, I bring this forward more of, I want to get that approval, like, yes, we are okay with going forward with this. Stipulations say, let's look into this and get more, and I can bring this forward to the next council meeting with a layout of what we actually use for different positions.
And I think with what he's going with the hiring right now, it's something that we're gonna need a motion just for him to be able to move forward, so I'll make that motion.
Before you do that, see, there's a difference in prices, that because higher rates doing a credit report from somebody.
That might be.
TransUnion does. They're one of the credit reporting agencies too,
So they, like I said, they didn't give me back their exact pricing list like TransUnion did here. So like I said, I don't know what their exact breakdown is. They've got a vague description online of stuff. But that would be something where I could look in more. I was just trying to get enough information to say, yeah, these are good companies. I can look more into it basically to have ready with stipulations for what we would use.
Can you comment on the fair credit rating or reporting? How does that deal come into play for hiring?
I think it's just the credit report stuff, because we'll oftentimes when doing background and employment checks, employers can look into the credit score and things like that. You know, when I applied in law enforcement, they looked into our bank accounts and credit and made sure, you know, we didn't have any problems with gambling or history, things like
Insurance
that.
company wants that also.
Yep,
Most insurance companies want a credit report.
so,
Nowadays they do.
Thank you.
Quick question. You have to sign a contract for a year long, or can you do this by monthly?
I believe these, we can, so basically, from my understanding is we can set up an account and it's, as needed.
As needed?
Yeah, so on an individual type thing.
Right.
They do offer ones where you can set up a, yearly fee type thing, but talking with the one representative, he said, that's kind of not right, because we're so low with how many we're hiring versus, a company like IBM or Microsoft or something like that, where they're hiring a lot of people constantly.
Yeah.
That would change something.
So with that, I know we're kind of in between and we're discussing before a motion, so I'm gonna make the motion that we.
Excuse me, I thought he was gonna come back at the May meeting with more detail.
Well, I think he needs to work on hiring some people before waiting a month is what I'm thinking about now. That we can use that, we can come back for some more details afterwards, but I think for the hiring you got going on now, that this is important for the next 30 days. That's the only reason why I say that.
And one quick question, you're just using this for new,
Yes.
people
Not
let's
ones
say
that are already here.
someone gets it.
No, it's anybody that we're hiring new into the city.
Yeah, perfect.
We were utilizing it for.
It's all
So,
back.
like if we promoted somebody, it wouldn't,
Right,
their
they're already
background
here.
check, they're already in, so.
Motion was done. Get a second over there.
Any other comments? So the motion is to proceed with TransUnion for now, and more information to come back in May, so.
You have budget. Right, Jason?
Yeah.
I mean, this is,
Contract.
The number of people you're gonna hire in a year isn't gonna be that much anyway.
No.
That's not supposed to be.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? It's approved.
Okay, my second item, I just want to give an update for trainings for city staff. We've got one of our public works guys going to a pesticide class in St. Paul, April 29th through May 2nd, trying to get more information. I don't know if there's any fees associated with that class. Kane Stein said yes, so I can get more information, but a lot of that, no more information.
It was already approved.
Yeah, I just didn't know what the fees were to put in for this, so I'll get that stuff. Deputy Clerk Renee, she is looking at going to the Minnesota Municipal Clerks Institute, May 6th through the 24th. That was approved by me. You can see that the costs here, fees, meals, lodging. She was awarded a $100 grant, which is taken off the original cost. This one falls under our budget, and within that, the great benefit to this is it's a 3-year program that after attending for 3 years, she will obtain her certification as a city clerk in Minnesota. So this has a lot of added benefits to it. It's gonna help her gain knowledge in doing her job and help her be more successful, in turn make us more successful as a city.
the only question I had on that was the meals at $396. Seems to be a little bit excessive for the times that we've been traveling on the road with the city. I just normally it's whatever the costs are as you go through, where we don't do any per diem, we don't do any of that stuff with the city. With Ryland and I on the traveling we've done with LMC and that type of stuff, and it's just what our actual costs are.
And this is something that I think can definitely, it's a, I don't know, how'd you?
It was a guess, because I didn't have
Okay.
the itinerary to know what meals were included. and
So-
what weren't. I think that's based kind of off of what's in the budget currently is that much.
And that definitely could come in lower. I'm not saying that's a final. fee
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, cause I mean, that's like $100 a day for meals. I think that's a little bit, we're not a rich community, so I was just kind of watching that.
Okay.
5 days, $80, so.
But still, I mean,
But
We'll go into mine next. So today we had the People's Energy Cooperative annual event. That was free to attend. Basically, it was with the People's Co-op here in town, went over there. They kind of gave a brief update. We got some information from them, which I think we should start including. I didn't bring it down because it's sitting on my desk, but got some good information for the community as far as like energy saving costs. And, they kind of give a breakdown of what reimbursements folks can get for implementing and utilizing energy saving stuff in their house, things like that. So there was some good information, and they kind of talked about stuff that, you know, is future coming down, and maybe 2-3 years coming down the pipeline with new technologies and things, their AI they're working with and all that. So it was a good training. The Minnesota City County Management Association, May 1st through the 3rd. Lodging is set by the MCMA. This is up in Brainerd, Minnesota. Meal plan, I went off the per diem rate just because that's what I'm accustomed to. And like I said, that's something that obviously subject to change. And then the fee is the fee for the annual event for the meeting itself. And then travel costs, again, were approximations based off of the IRS rate, which we go off of for the mileage. Gives the total cost there. This is an event that's Minnesota only. It's where all the city managers get together. It's a meet and greet. It's a get to know and network and connect and things like that. Also, part of my contract is I'm required to go to these events. So this will be, I think, a great event for me. Hopefully we'll have the staff in place and be squared away there for those few days.
Again, I just think the per diem kind of bothers me off of that. I think what actual costs, you know, should be that way instead of per diem, just the way we've done things, I think. I've worked out for per diems and I know how that operates, so I just, you know, have the actual costs,
Can be
okay?
good or bad sometimes.
Can be, yeah, well, if it's your pocket, it's really good, okay, but for the city, it's not.
So the next one is the LMC League of Minnesota Cities Annual Conference in June. That one is here in Rochester. Sign up for that one. That's, again, shows I put lodging in. There was some stuff about where I'm staying at and what's going on, traveling back and forth. There's options there. None of that is final, but the lodging was taken off the per diem rate, same with the meals. The fee for it, again, that's the fee for anybody attending it. And then it also, you know, they encourage other people to attend. I believe our mayor's attending. And I've been told we're encouraged that all the counselors attend.
Yeah, I definitely want to go. Yeah.
I would love to see all of you attend. I think it would be a great idea, especially since it's here in Rochester.
I just wonder, you know, I don't know if it's good for Renee to do that as much as it is for the council people and for Ryland, off that and you in particular, so.
A lot of clerks attended, so I think it's well worth it.
And if that's something we're trying to aid her in her, you know, training and stuff like that, I think it'd be a good networking opportunity for her. It's a lot of it is.
I know she's doing networking also up at the deputy clerk thing that she's doing up there in St. Cloud as well. You know, just as point of information off of that, which is, I think, the most important networking that she had.
Where are we with budget in terms of education after this, Jason?
As far as I know, this is kind of the, looking at the budget, you know, we've broken down, it's kind of getting close to the end of it off of this. And I don't have the numbers in front of me on that. I know there was a set number.
It's in your packet. Get a chance to look at it.
You know, where.
So it's like 60 is all we got for lodging. Page 2.
Page 2, halfway down. Nothing being spent for lodging, meals, or fees for deputy clerk. Mayor and council, we've only had one meal. Some mileage, so there's
Well, there's not in there for, I think,
fees are $1,600, so there's more than enough for everybody to go.
and that's only $275 because as long as you do early bird registration and we're under 2,500 for population, so we get the discount for $275. And then for the rest of it, I mean, lunches are included off of that stuff there along with that, you know, and I think it also includes that one meal that there is for the one night as well. We did the one up in Duluth.
Yeah, and like I said, with that, the placeholder was put in with the fees was just kind of a placeholder as a, this is maybe the top end of type things, like I want there to be a number in there so we can have a reference point, but as we go through, there's obviously, you know, the meal stuff can change, the per diem, that kind of stuff is all amendable basically, and more flexible on my ends. That answer your questions?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not going over budget.
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot of spend this year.
So, on that, cause I definitely wanna go to that, like I have the last couple of years, should I just go ahead and pay for that and then do an expense report for that after that? So we gotta take care of.
Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just gonna do some math then. But yeah, so that's at least, yeah, for this conference, that would be 6 people that could attend and still have extra money left over for fees. So I don't have a problem with everybody attending. Like I said, it's really up to you guys and your schedule, and it fits in the budget. As far as I know, there haven't been any other conferences or fees or, you know, conference fees or anything like that so far this year or coming up. So I'm leaving it up to you guys to decide if you want to.
Well, this is just
We can't-
in Rochester.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
this is
what
right
makes
here.
it
This is not
nice.
gonna get
Yeah,
much
it's really,
closer.
it's ideal.
And whatever the fee is all we're gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last 2 years have been up in Duluth, but you've got other stuff that the fees associated with. This is
So
great.
let Renee know by May 2nd. I think the deadline is May 3rd for the fee, so. All right.
So next, the update on the wastewater treatment facility. We've done some walkthroughs of that and looked at that, and, you know, coming in at the tail end of this, there's a lot that I don't know everything that's gone into it or where everything's supposed to be at exactly on timeline. So what I'm gonna have do is I'm gonna request Kane, provide a comprehensive update to council at the next meeting as to where they're at, where they're supposed to have been at, what's been going on, the problems he's seen firsthand and the issues he's seen firsthand. And that way that stuff can get out there. So one, the public can know, council can be up to date on stuff. You know, through our last walkthrough with them, they were hopeful and optimistic about having things completed, but it sounds like that's been the song and dance for quite a while. So I think it's time to start changing gears, and, you know, this was supposed to be done in July last year. And I know there's been some complications and setbacks due to things out of people's control. But I think we're starting to get past most of those, and it's a matter of why are things not getting done? So with that, like I said, I'm gonna have him have a comprehensive plan ready for next month's council meeting. Any questions on that? Okay. Hiring and wages was the next section here that I've got. I think it's labeled something.
Number 4, you're right.
Number 4, okay, yeah, I just, in my notes here, I don't have a number 5, that's good. All right, so with the, number 4, approval appointment for Caleb Timmerman. Public Works, they've conducted interviews, for their new, full-time position and selected a Caleb Timmerman. We talked to him and kind of agreed on a starting wage of $24 an hour with a start date of April 22nd, 2024. I kind of jumped the gun on that one. I apologize. I was a little bit quick on that. I know I need to get council approval for that. Again, that was all pending background investigation still, so it was kind of just a temporary offer of, you know, pending approval and background. So I want to get council approval for the hiring of Caleb Timmerman for his full-time position with Public Works.
I make a motion to hire Caleb Timmerman for Public Works.
Second.
Your guy.
All right. And he starts the 22nd, which is Monday.
Yes,
Okay.
Monday.
Pay period.
Is that the new paper?
Doesn't make a difference.
It's a Monday.
I think it's good to get him started. I'm not worried about pay period. It's okay after that, so.
Okay, so we'll notify him, the day after, and we let him know that is finalized and he's good to go. Part-time.
We gotta have a vote on for that.
Oh,
All in
sorry.
favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Part-time?
Okay, so we're gonna jump into part-time, and there was, like we said, we moved some of Kane's up into mine, so we'll start with that. With Kane, since we're already talking about his. He had been hiring for some seasonal groundskeeper help. Excuse me. And then a part-time janitor as well. So with that, he's conducted interviews off the applications received for the groundskeeper. And he has sent me 3 names that he'd like to hire for temporary work, no more than 6 months. Steve Reese, Jack Ottman, and Jonah Ottman.
Do we have those for personnel? I haven't seen any of those. Did you send those to personnel?
Got him here with me.
Yeah, we'd like to have those with personnel, so at least we know what's going on, okay, before, so.
So with that, he's got them up to 24 hours a week. Steve Reese for 18 an hour, and then the other 2 for 16 an hour. I'm guessing Steve Reese was the difference being for pay,
Yeah.
experience.
More experience, and he kind of takes on a lead position.
Okay. So you're kind of helping with that.
So what were the names, Steve?
Steve Reese,
Okay.
Jack Ottman, and Jonah Ottman, Jonah.
Brothers, I take it?
Yeah. I guess I asked for approval for hiring those 3 for seasonal groundskeeper at the rate, no more than 6 months.
Jim, did you make a motion?
No, I didn't. I just wanted to have the other, but I will make a motion for that. I just wanted to be included, so personnel should have that information. It should be done before it comes to this point, so at least we're aware of what's happening, so. Make note of that for next time. Appreciate it.
I'll second the motion to hire the 3 seasonal employees. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Approved? Good.
Okay, and
Do we
then
have a start date?
May.
May-ish? All right, thank you.
It'll be good. We're not under the gun.
We were ahead from last year, that's for sure. That was just a good thing.
and then this, so we'll go into just this final one. For the janitor position, he interviewed and spoke with, and decided on, I'm gonna say the last name wrong, Ezra Sang. Okay, T is silent, Tsang. He would be 15 hours per week at $15 an hour, and this would be for a year-round employment for him to, his focus would be City Hall facility as a janitor. Yep.
Yep.
So
Good start.
again, I think he's got the paperwork for you
Okay.
guys, and that was kind of miscommunication on our part. We'll make sure you guys get the paperwork for those ones.
I'll make a motion to hire Ezra.
I'll second that one.
All right, any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, next, so we're looking at filling the part-time assistant administrative position again. Going through that, this says conducting, so my initial hope was I went back and interviewed 2 people from the previous pool of applicants. Hoping to be able to get both of them approved for part-time work. Looking at this, looking at the budget, what was approved previously at the beginning of the year for 2024, that money for the part-time person has not been used. And we have enough, I believe, to be able to, at this point, hire 2 part-time people, because that also the budget for the full-time person has not been used either. And so my hope was to be able to allocate those, you know, the funds that haven't been used to help make up the cost to get 2 part-time people administrative in the office to help get us caught up on our work. I did get, after the interviews, I did get notified by one of the applicants that they had accepted another position already within a couple days after the interview. So they're off. I do have an applicant. Mary Queensland is her name, that I would like to offer employment to. She would be the part-time administrative office assistant, scheduled for 20 to 25 hours per week, as again, all based off of the previous posting, at a starting rate of $23.50 an hour. She advised that she could start as well on April 22nd. So we get her going next Monday. She's available to come in. She is closer. She lives in Stewartville. So she is close by. So I'm thinking that hopefully that'll be less of an issue. Because I know commuting was a problem for the last candidate, unfortunately. So with that, I'd like to.
Can you get them background checks done that soon?
I'll do it.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, these companies,
Yeah, they'll work fast on them. It's relatively quick for
Pretty
them.
much on call.
So, yeah.
So the question I have, Jason,
Yep.
is I get that you want to hire an extra part-time in addition to the part-time and the full-time that we already approved. But then what that means is we're gonna have to have an extra part-time budgeted for next year. I mean, that's great. It takes us up through
And
the
this
end
was,
of this
this
year
was,
to use the money.
yeah, this was gonna be, I'm addressing that because I had written it in here. That
Okay.
was what I was hoping to do, but that has changed in the last few days because that second person is not even an option right now.
Okay, so that you're not going after that then, is what you're saying?
I want to, yes, but I need to re-go through, and I think it's gonna end up being for next month when we have more stuff, because I want to talk about the full-time one too, just kind of address some of that. So I think next month I'll have something put together, or maybe we'll do a special council meeting where I can have more stuff put together to basically try and get the numbers squared away. And then, yeah, I think next year we are going to have to budget for more employment help. I mean, we're swamped with stuff and we're playing catch up every day. And, you know, it doesn't afford anybody, you know, hardly time off to either recover or take trainings or things like that. It makes it very difficult. So I think that's where bringing in the extra employees, and as we grow, I'm trying to prepare the city for the future. We are going to need more staff, hands down. But we're going to need more people in office to be able to handle the day-to-day operations of the city. And that goes, you know, growing departments it's just part of growing with a city. We're going to need it. And so I'm trying to get ahead of that game a little bit to, one, get us caught up, and 2, get us ready for when we are there. We're not trying to play catch up with hiring staff at that point.
Yeah, I see that, you know, the part-time for sure with Mary and what goes on, and looking at the full-time employee that we're looking to get. To me, it would make sense logically to take those 2 people and see what the workload is with you, okay, which actually gives us 2.5 people more than what was going on with Renee.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see how the workings go at that point and see where we're at. I know once we've got the permits taken care of this year, we've got the sewer underway, that you're gonna have more of a equalizing of what you've got with the workload. I think that's gonna go forward from that point. And also to see what there might be, what we have for funding that comes out of the sewer too. That maybe with the 600 fund that we've got some extra money that's available to be able to afford to have, you know, somebody on staff that way to be working with that for the administrative part. So, you know, I think that going through with the part-time and the full-time makes a lot of sense right now, and see what we can get accomplished. And then address it at that point if we, you know, run into a situation. I mean, that's what my thoughts would be, which is what we've got approved right now in the budget.
Yeah. I'll just briefly touch on the full-time before we get to the motion for the hiring of the part-time one here. With the full-time administrative position, you know, I've spent 3 weeks here looking at what our office is doing and kind of where our struggles are at the most. And so in my head, what I'm beginning to do and plan for is I'm looking to make that an administrative finance officer type position. Someone who can help us focus on budget, who has a strong skill set for that. That I know would be able to help with all these incoming projects and things to kind of help in that aspect for us. So just so everybody's aware, you know, that's where I'm leaning with my skill sets of what I'm looking for that full-time position. I don't have a job description yet made up. I don't have any of that stuff, but that's where we're, I think, gonna be leaning for.
And I'm good with going that direction to get someone with finance experience. But the only thing I'll caution, knowing how this works, we have to be very careful on the title that we give and the job description, because that could bring that pay level up a lot higher than.
And that's gonna be all part of my research going into
Yeah.
the job description and looking at, you know, other cities our size and surrounding areas and what the costs are, because you know, I think the other part too is we need to make sure we're competitive. I know we're a small city, but we gotta make sure we're competitive to bring people in and retain them.
Exactly.
You know, if we're not competitive, you know, we're going to lose them, because Rochester's 10 minutes away. If they can get a part-time job that's easier and pays more, you know, they'll stick with that. So, you know, again, it's absolutely, I agree that'll be something I will look into as I make this and make sure that we're tiling it right. But that's kind of where my mindset's going. Any other questions on that? Comments?
No, I think that's good. We had one that was looking to do full-time, and I can, you have that resume that's there yet in your file? Yeah, and I'll get you the name of who that was, because she's been waiting just for the full-time, so I'll get that one to you, so.
Okay. So with that, I guess I would ask that the council approve the hiring for the part-time position for Mary Queensland.
I make a motion that we approve Mary and get her on board as soon as possible.
Second.
Is this the same Mary that was here before?
No.
Could you spell the last name?
Queensland?
Oh, Queensland, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, she was continuing to ask for that job, so that's great.
Something like a Queensland. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved.
All right, and my final item on here that I have is for Deputy Clerk Renee Weil. Her salary, her pay from my understanding, previously was listed at $32.26 an hour, and then during the transition phase, her pay had increased and was approved by council to increase by $2 to $34.26 an hour, and then set to expire at a certain time. Based off of her merit and her job duties that she takes on and is continuing to take on, I feel that she's worth every penny of keeping that on. So I would like to increase her salary to that and maintain it at the $34.26 an hour going out as just her new base pay.
When was it supposed to expire before? Because we're still in transition. aren't we?
30 days after
After Jason was
Jason's
hired.
hired.
Okay.
So a couple of questions I would have on that is do you have the budget? And the other thing I get a little concerned about is we approved it for extenuating circumstances. And yes, Renee is very valuable and has done a great job. The only issue I have with it is, so now we're setting a precedence if we keep it. Because, you know, Kane could claim that, hey, the water and sewer facility put extra stress on his people, extra stress on Kane. You know what I'm saying? I think we have to be very equitable in terms of how we do these types of things. I know we approve for for a period of time, but we didn't prove it as a permanent pay increase.
Okay,
Yeah, I think it would be fair for Public Works to be involved in this conversation,
And the other thing is
retaining them as employees.
well, and the other thing too, I think Renee, your review is due, right? Coming out,
July, yeah.
yeah.
And I think that that would be good to do a review first and look at that and see what it is
Well-
after we finish the review, you know.
There is also, you're bringing another staff that's gonna require training. Why don't we extend this out, maybe extend it out for an extra 30 days for the new hires for at least extend it out for the next 30 days for the new hires, because Renee, Jason, both probably be training them together and stuff.
We could probably do a review too for the yearly review, bring that up earlier and get that done during that time.
So I'm of the opinion that, she's very deserving of keeping that. Mainly for, retention purposes, if nothing else. There's been things happening over the last 6 months that have been very questionable about, her, performance. And it's, in spite of that, you just look at what she's done over the last 3 years. And she's definitely a true asset to the city council and to the staff and to the residents. She's been here almost 3 years, and she's probably worked 10 to 12 months by herself, keeping the city running because of transitions from Sandy to Geraldine to Sunny, and with helping with Shirley. So I think she's done an admirable job for us, and she's kept the city functioning. And without her, we wouldn't be here today. I mean, we would be here, of course, but we wouldn't be here with without a very competent and conscientious and passionate person for the job that she does by herself. So I'm in full support of the salary and keeping it at salary, like Jason's saying. As a question of performance reviews, I think people need to realize how much work she has done. And the only way you get to see that is working in the city office, because she does a lot. She juggles a lot with payroll, signing checks, working with our attorneys, working with the engineers, working with the residents. She does everything a city clerk does. And she's been doing that for almost 30% of her career here at Orinoco. So I think that's very deserving, and I would like to bring back a proposal in the May meeting to offer or may have it consideration for a pay salary guide. We have not done a pay salary guide since 2019, and this is a ranking. It tells employees how they can be ranked, how you can go up through the different steps within a rank. It's something the city definitely needs, and it's important because if we don't, we passed the last pay equity report to the state, but we got to be prepared in a position now to be ready for next year's pay grade salary review, because the penalties involved with that are very substantial. And if we don't have our salaries in line with the pay guide maintained by the state. So I'm of the opinion that she's very deserving. And I make a motion that we keep her hourly rate at the $34.26. There a second? Do I have a second for the motion? I think it's important to the city that we have a second, but I'll leave it up to the fellow council members if everybody's going to second that motion. Seeing none, motion fails for a second.
I make a motion that we extend Renee's $2 an hour that she's doing right now for another 30 days as we bring the other person that there is as a part-time. And at that time, have a chance to do a review for yearly review and bring it back to council after that time.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. I was gonna ask for more.
All right. Any
You
other
can do a
comments?
friendly amendment to
Yeah,
that.
I'd like to do a friendly amendment, just because we have other people coming in, like Paul mentioned. I would like to make an amendment that we do it until the 1st of June, because we have other people coming in. By that time, I think the review would be done. And I think, based on what Ryland said with the pay scale, I think we have to do that for everybody in the city. I think those are things we probably need to do before the budgeting process next year, so we can plan for it.
That's in October, so.
So I accept that friendly amendment to that motion that there is, so.
So we have a motion to extend the current salary at 34.26 to 1 June. Is that right?
Yes.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Great, thanks. Anything else? No, that it? Okay. Right. Water and sewers next. So Joe, you want to do it? If we have touch base, what's planned here this month?
Sure. A lot of information in the sewer and water committee meeting minutes, but as you guys all know, we commenced operation of the wastewater treatment facility on March 27th as planned. At this point, all of the connections have been made with the exception of Cedar Woodlands 1. There are 12 parcels that aren't connected to the wastewater system, and hopefully by the end of the week or early next week, they'll be connected. So at this point, people are making connections via the gravity sewer in the downtown areas, as well as the grinder stations too. So all that's moving forward, kind of as planned.
No issue.
Well, there's always some challenges, right? Rain today, for example,
Yeah.
We hit some rock on Timberline in terms of the sewer.
But I mean, as far as
System.
the plant's going good.
Well, there are some issues there too.
Are there?
We are working through those processes with the contractor. You know, essentially we have 90 days to be compliant with our effluent limits. We're well on track to do that. So over the next, 75 days, that'll come to be. I'm confident in that. There are some issues that we do have with the contractor. There has been some frustration with lack of progress on a handful of items, specifically at the treatment facility. And last week, we had a meeting with the contractor to kind of review those things, have them schedule on it, and talk in more detail. They are checking things off, but there are some things that kind of remain to be done out there. And so it's not that they're not there. The STOB is consistently there. The electricians are consistently there. The integrator automatic systems consistently there working on things, but they're working through issues that come up. Some of those issues start when the wastewater starts to flow and you can really start to calibrate things and address things. It does take time and warrant some patience. That's why there's a 90-day period for the PCA allows you to essentially become compliant, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating. And we need to kind of continue to work through that with the contractor. I know Kane's engaged, Jeff's engaged on a daily basis, and I'm engaged a little less frequently, but still frequently with the contractor. In fact, we had some correspondence today. about making sure they follow through. We kind of set a target of April 19th for the contractor to have, or April 26th for the contractor to have most of these issues knocked off and addressed. And we talked about them at the Sewer and Water Committee meeting a little bit. The collection system, a few things are happening there that will impact folks. First of all, the contractor is working on Timberline Drive. I mentioned that earlier. They should complete those connections here in the next couple days, and that'll lift stations out of the ground, but that will be tied up complete, and then they'll move to lift station 1B, that's Cedar Woodlands 1. That's where that'll get tied in towards the end of this week or early next week, depending on how the weather kind of shakes out here. Lift station 1A, that's the one where we're over by Ryland's house in River Park that we were waiting for that VFD and line starters. They have been installed. The formal startup for that lift station, the pump suppliers come down and start that up. That's supposed to happen on Friday. And then they'll tie that over. River Park is on municipal wastewater. It's just being pumped through the existing lift station, not the new lift station. So there's a conversion process that'll happen there. And then Ellingson has 2 crews in town completing grinder station connections. Ellingson has about 20 grinder stations in operation right now. And they get done about 2 a day. And so they'll continue on that pace, till about June to get all these connected and done. But they're planning a formal startup and training for the grinder stations. I think it was planned for tomorrow, but I think it got delayed because of the weather till maybe Friday, if you heard that. So that's moving forward too, but lots of irons in the fire yet on kind of both sides of the equation on the treatment facility as well as the collection conveyance things. But things are moving forward and coming together. It's just patience, just like we kind of talked about through the whole process. There's things that come up that need to be dealt with, and contractor is being responsive. Sometimes they're a little slower than we'd like, but they're working towards it and making progress. Questions?
We have an upcoming Fitzgerald update meeting soon, or planned, I guess, scheduled.
We don't, but we certainly can put that on the schedule now that things are starting to happen a little faster, specifically on their side with all the grinder station connections and
Paving restoration.
Paving restoration is going to be a big one, and then they'll start moving into the decommissioning of the existing community waste treatment systems. So I do expect them to wrap up their work here by probably the end of June. Paving probably will be one of the later things done, but coming up here in May, they should hit the restoration piece hard, and that's pretty important. I do think that they'll complete all these tie-ins and the pipe work here within the next week. So good progress from that perspective. Other questions? We were kind of talking about an open house too at some point too with Sewer and Water Committee. So
We talked about it, maybe
maybe
June timeframe, June, July, get some green grass out there.
The grass is growing.
More
and things
organized and. Well, let's just go into the next discussion about our item number 3 about our water rates for initial installation for those that are coming on board, depending on the time of the month.
Right. So there was some discussion about.
First of all, does everybody have this? Packet? Okay, I want to make sure. Yeah. We're done, so, okay, go ahead, Joe.
As people make connections, whether it be sewer or water, we were talking about what is going to happen at different days in the week, different days in the month, and to try to track that and to build people fairly is a challenge, right? And so we discussed that as part of the Sewer and Water Committee, and we decided to look at that a couple different ways. One, I guess, was how we bill the base rate, because the utility rates are a base rate, a lump sum for each month, plus a usage fee. And that usage fee is based on the metered flow. And we'll have instances where certain people don't have metered flow rate right away. At least a few instances, people that aren't, that'll have sewer service but don't have a water service or don't have a metered water service yet. And so there's kind of a period there where things will be a little bit gray, and how do we deal with that? And so we kind of decided that we'd look at things, if you connect the first half of the month through the 15th, your bill would be a full base rate plus the water you use, or 3,000 gallons if it's not metered. And if you connect after the 15th, the 16th through the 30th of the month, say, you get half the base rate plus half the $3,000, 3,000 gallons, or whatever your metered flow is, assuming that you have a meter. So go ahead.
So did I hear you say or? So the 1st through the 15th, it's either the base rate or the metered rate?
No, it's both.
Or it is both?
The rates are a combination of both. So
Okay.
you have a base rate, which is a lump sum, where
Yeah.
it's 20, let's say it's $20.
Yeah.
And then the metered flow is the add-on to that. That's a usage piece of it.
Yeah.
And so we put together and adopted, as part of the sewer and water, kind of a recommendation in terms of how that was. I don't have my meeting minutes in front of me, but I know you do.
It's in the back of the packet.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of how we kind of worded that, just to be clear, maybe I didn't explain it as well.
But it's only for the first month.
Right.
Okay, after that, you're gonna have the regular
It'll be-
meter that's
yeah,
gonna be, so it's just that first part of it.
I'm good with that. I think it's fair. I don't know how else you'd be able
Well, you
to
just
do
drive yourself crazy trying to
Right.
track, they come in on the 19th or the 5th, and then trying to
It'd be
do
an
the math.
administrative
the
nightmare.
Administrative nightmare, and it's gonna be difficult enough even with the simplified version. I think there's some challenges that'll exist with this.
And the 3,000 number was chosen mainly because it's a kind of an average use. If you look at the back of your packet, there's a water rate for the number of total flow and total number of users, and it comes anywhere from 3,000 to 3,800. Average per month has been pretty steady, so.
Do we need a motion for this, Ryland?
Yeah, we need a motion.
I make a motion that we approve that rate that there is for the 1st through the 15th and 16th through 31st.
I'll second.
So the motion will be just, it's a rather long motion, but just detailed, so it'd be a rather long motion. It's an amendment, so the complete motion, I should say. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. One item that I added was that's a picture that's on your table. So part of the Cedar Woodlands 2 transfer, Joe alluded to that whenever that one's connected, late this week, early next week. Per the agreement that Cedar Woodlands 2 HOA has, that drain field will be transferred to the city per the agreement. No cost for that. That's all part of the language to be transferred to the city. So because it's city, because of the property that around it is part of Hamilton's development, we would proceed with getting an appraisal for that drain field. I think it's a little over 50,000 square feet, a little over acre and a half, 2 acres maybe. So we need to get appraisals from an appraisal company. We used a Jeff Warfield,
Warfield, I think.
Warfield for our 10 acres of property we bought from Matthew Construction for the treatment plant. And we can either use that gentleman, or we can go out and solicit quotes. Have city staff go out and solicit quotes for a group of appraisers and come back to the council, but we'd like to keep this moving along. I'm sure Hamilton would like to have that market value, whatever it comes out to be part of their financing package when they start looking at investors or financial institutions. So it makes a more complete picture for them. So there is some urgency to get that done as soon as we can, so.
So help me understand. So a piece like that, so that's where their seepage bed or their drain field bed is. So when the developer put that in, did the city own it then, or was it that, hey, when we vacate that, then it's transferred to the city?
So it got platted as an outlot, and the developer did construct their drainage field on that. And so as part or a function of the development agreement, there was some language in that agreement that upon connection, that would be abandoned and the property transferred to the city.
So with that, is there anything, are we required to put that out there? We can do whatever we want without being competitive on that, right?
Well, that's the tricky thing that I kind of recommended Mike get involved with a little bit. And one of the reasons we get an appraiser, you know, you just can't take city property and give it to Herb because he's a nice guy, right?
I mean,
You know,
even selling
You
it.
gotta have a,
Competitive.
But I can bid on it though, right?
well, yeah, theoretically, right? Or,
Just
you
have,
know, there has to be a way to do that. And that can be sticky. And obviously there's gonna be a development agreement. Obviously, we have the attorney involved. One of the things is, well, let's get an appraiser and figure out what it's worth.
This is probably not gonna be the last one like that, right?
Well, this is a pretty unique
Oh, it is.
situation.
Okay.
I think this won't happen again.
Okay.
So you don't have to, I mean, Joe was saying, don't you have to sell for fair market value? We were talking earlier. I don't think the word market is in the law. Doesn't mean fair market value, like. I think you could just do a market analysis, not an appraisal. So that's, an appraisal is where you hire a professional land appraiser that has a certification in land appraisal. And they go out and they're familiar with the class of property that they're appraising and they do a report. I've seen them, many of these over the years, and they're just, you know, they write up a report and charge you $2,000 or $1,000, whatever. And then they'll give you an appraised value, or you could just do a market analysis. That's more like land over there is sold for this per acre. This is 1.5 acres. It's in the same city. It's the same zone of property. We're just gonna set the value at that. I think that would be perfectly legal to do it either way. I was asking Joe questions about that, and it seems like it is quite valuable, or at least valuable enough where $1,000 for an appraisal might be worth it. But that's your choice. I mean, you don't have to do that. But what you can't do is you can't give it away for a song. Like you have to have some reasonable justification for why you're selling it for values for it. And then the other part of this is that developer very much needs that property.
Right in the middle.
So they can't do the development, I don't think, without, I mean, I don't know, but I haven't seen any plans, but they need that. So there's really no reason, you know, you should sell it for the full value. And that's another reason in this particular unique case to get an appraisal, it seems to me.
It is kind of unique in that it was a drain field. Those pipes are gonna be there. So it's not just raw land, right? So he's gonna have to mitigate those pipes, take them out. It's gonna cost him money. And so that devalues that a little bit. It's not a simple, it's worth X. I just think somebody qualified should look at that and tell you, give you an opinion on what it's worth.
I take back what I'm saying. So you would have to find a like valued property sold within a recent past that had the same pipes that were.
And you're not gonna.
And you're not going to. So it's probably,
Find drain fields and abandoned drain fields.
it's probably easier just to get an appraisal. You get an appraisal.
So,
But
but it is gonna be decommissioned.
Well,
State bonding bill money.
but decommission means we just cut the cleanouts off and leave the pipes that are in the ground buried. We just eliminate surface access to it. So somebody, is gonna have to dig those up and remove those and recompact the soil and.
Now, this is just a drain field. There's no holding tank or anything in this situation.
No, just a drain field.
So we don't have to offer it. I guess my question is, we don't have to offer it to the public.
No.
We can say, because this is part of, it's kind of in the midst of what Hamilton is doing. Yeah, so we don't have to put it out there for sale.
No.
And is River Park the same way? The seepage the Greenfield Park?
It is, the city does,
I thought the city owned that
the
too.
city does own it, and someday, you know, you could make a ball field out of it, or you could develop it and sell it. You know, you have that option, which someday will be an interesting discussion.
Mhm.
We'll have a conversation sooner than later, probably.
Well, and so part of this really, I mean, I wasn't prepared to think through this, but one of the things you might want to think about is, you know, are you gonna want the development to move forward that they have there? Because if you didn't want the development for whatever reason, you could just say it's not for sale. This land is not for sale. And like the
right.
Timberwolves owner, Timberwolves are no longer for sale. You know, and you don't have, there's nobody to obligate you to sell that. But when people have land, they have a right to develop it. So, you know, we're gonna have to negotiate with that development. I'm not saying it's a bad development. I know nothing about it. I haven't seen a document. I don't even know what they're doing, what they're building or what they're doing. But maybe the first step is just to get the appraisal and then.
I mean, is it good just to have one appraisal or to get two? I mean, that's just one.
I think.
I'm just
From a
wondering how the
reputable
city
person.
looks at that. That's why I'm asking.
I've never seen a city get two.
Okay, I mean, this is the first time it's come up and that I've been involved. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
So.
It would probably be fair to offer him at the price of one of his developed lots and call it good.
Yeah.
He's gonna be making lots out of it, just offer it to him for the price of one of his lots.
Spread across 4 or 5 lots.
Well,
Yeah,
it's,
the way that this
if
drawing is
it's
with-
only,
Plans, yeah.
if it's an acre, that's only 43,000 feet, and he's gonna put 2-3 homes on it, so.
Problem is,
So it's probably not worth more about
Tiny
50 to 100 grand max.
yeah, but a lot that they're selling would have street and stuff too, so you can't really go that
Exactly,
high.
you can't do that, so.
Anyway,
So is the council okay with one appraisal? We did that for the
Yeah.
sewage treatment plan. That's just a consensus. Just have city staff move forward with getting appraisal with this, gentleman we used before too, so.
And so then, I'm just gonna make one comment about that. If we get the appraisal report, the report is not public data, it's actually confidential data. And so then, and that's one of the bases to close a meeting to discuss what's in the appraisal, confidential appraisal data. So when we get it, if it's just, I don't know that Jason will distribute it or not. But if he does distribute it, you know, it should go, just make a note, Jason, to have me draft up a little email explaining that it's confidential and you're not to give it to anybody. And that it becomes, the report will become public once you enter into a contract for the sale of the property. Then it transforms from non-confidential, protected, non-public to public. And then they will be able to see what's in the.
They'll see what to give the city for.
Yeah, what the appraisal says. I mean, you could sell it for double that, you could sell it for half that. I mean, you know, they won't know that until we sign the purchase agreement.
Okay, good, thank you. On planning and zoning.
You wanna do the first one or you want me to do the first one? What do you wanna do?
let's see.
One of us can do one. Well, I can do the first one if you want. Or you want-
Go ahead, if you want to, that's fine.
First one is for, lot split. That there is, which is for, Michael Goodman. And the lot is at 405 East Center Street. And the other one is for Garrett Sorensen, which is the adjacent lot, north of that at 220 Second Avenue Northeast. And findings of facts with that one. Number one was just what I addressed off of that. Number two, the garage on Goodman lot encroaches slightly on the Sorensen lot. Findings of fact number three, the Goodman has applied for the city to split the lot under Orinoco Code section 151.002. Finding fact number four, is the Orinoco zoning code requires a 6-foot side setback for an accessory structure such as a garage. The existing Goodman garage is non-conforming and encroaches on the required setback. Number five, the proposed lot split as depicted on the submitted certification survey from WSE Massey Engineering and Land Surveying LTD, dated 1/5/2024, adjust the lot line between the two lots in the vicinity of the Goodman garage so that 832 square foot of the property is added to the Goodman lot and provides more than 6 feet of clearance between the garage and the new lot line. Number 6, the proposed lot line adjustment meets the standards of section 151.002 for the approval of the lot split. This is where actually, 2 people got along well with what was going on and agreed, and everything has worked out really well. So with that, we have, for planning and zoning, unanimously the approval of this coming to city council. So, with that one, that comes to resolution number 2024-08 for the approval of that. So I, make a motion to approve that.
A second.
These comments.
As long as they're getting along, that they know what they want, what's it?
Yeah.
Sold a piece of property, kind of like, cool. And they're both with it, so yeah.
It was a good deal, so it's nice to have that.
My only comment, it's not really about the permit, I think. The motion, the rezoning. My only question is that, you know, I think, you know, it's tough getting stuff. It's not tough. It's concerning that it's 90 days to get this through to council. So I know you didn't have a meeting in February, I think it was, a quorum. So,
and it would
is that, you know, P and Z going forward, we have a lot of things coming to us, and I think P and Z ought to try, just make an extra effort to really either schedule meetings to try and keep within that 60-day limit, whatever we need to do to help expedite these.
I think we had.
The last one, yeah. The other one that there was just that we didn't get our packet that there was until the day of the meeting. And so that's why it got pushed off. That what delay was.
Yeah, this had nothing to do with quorum.
No.
We just didn't get it in time to.
Well, I just saw the date of January 26th.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the reason why, it was just because we didn't get it until the day of the meeting, and so it got pushed.
Just a comment, but I think it's important as we get into more situations, we just be mindful of the time frame.
And planning and zoning is on top of
We are.
things on doing it, absolutely.
Right.
Right. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, it's a voice vote. Jason, if you wanna.
This is a voice vote, or is it a resolution, isn't it?
Resolution.
It's a resolution.
Resolution, 2024-08.
Okay, so my vote, Mayor Ryland,
Aye.
Councilman Phillips,
Aye.
Councilman Richards.
Aye.
Councilman Paul,
Aye.
Councilman Irv.
Aye.
That's approved. Item. Sign variance, Glen Motor Coach.
Okay, so 2024-09B, the finding of facts, Glenn's Motor Coach Tours LLC is constructing a building in Orinoco at 1460 Cedar Center Avenue Southeast. The west facade of the building is 65 feet in length. Finding the facts 2, the city of Orinoco has adopted zoning code standards for signage in section 111 and 112 of the city code. Those standards include a provision allowing no more than 1 square foot of wall sign on a commercial building for every linear foot of the building facade. Finding of facts 3, Glenn's Motor Coach Tours building will be allowed a wall sign of 65 square feet in area, and the applicant has requested a 90 square foot wall sign for the building. And finding of fact number 4, the city has standards for considering variances to the code that refer to unique circumstances or conditions of the property that pose practical difficulties in meeting the code. And I guess the main thing that we learned is their building was originally going to be turned the other way, and they would have had more square footage of, in terms of their facade, and it would have allowed them to have the bigger sign. But because of the wind shear, they had to turn their building, so they had less square footage facing Minnesota Avenue. And I think planning and zoning, looking at the sign that they proposed, it fit, it looked nice with the area. There wasn't a huge difference in terms of proportion looking at that sign. So with that, we recommended the approval of the variance.
There was one other thing too that went along with that, which was the fact that the background of the Glen is going to be black.
Right.
Instead of white. And that it's gonna also not be lit. So those were the two conditions that there were that were also with that it was black with white letters. And again, not be lit so that it wouldn't be disruptive at night when it comes to it. So
Because originally the sign that
originally they wanted, yeah.
was white, but they came back with the new rendition of it, and it was within proportion. So it gave us a better view of it, being able to make a more.
So there'd be brown lighting on this sign?
No, there's not gonna be any lighting at all on it. So that's why we thought that being black, it fit in with what the colors of the building were and the trim. And well, like actually the picture is inside your,
Right, it's in the packet.
in the packet, so.
But you'll be able to see it at night.
No, it's not gonna, well, you, if you can look and see the white letters, but other than that, you're not gonna see anything else that there is out of it, so. Those are two of the conditions that there were to be able to get the variance, is that it was black with white letters and not be lit.
Okay. Yeah, the size of it isn't that significantly bigger, really.
Right.
I mean, you could take 6 inches off the top or the bottom and it.
Their motion.
That's what it is too, just adding about 6 inches both ways, right?
And so I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2024-09B.
Second.
I'll second that.
We have to make a motion for that other one to turn that one down.
Which is the A.
9A.
Yeah,
You just need to adopt the one you want.
okay.
So
Yeah,
we'll just
we'll
leave the
adopt
other,
it.
don't act on the other one.
Oh, okay, so we don't have to, okay.
So I just want to bring something to the P and Z's attention, or the council's attention. In code 111-056. Wall signs, they shall not exceed 1 square foot of sign area for each 1 foot of facade frontage. However, in no case shall any wall sign exceed 120 square feet in area, so. So there was, even if it had been moved to 200 feet, there still would have been a reduction to like 60% of the wall size, so. If you look at the 65 foot, what's the code says, it's 100%. And if you look at the 90-foot sign versus the 90-foot side versus 65, it's 138%. So these codes were, and I have no problem with the 90-foot. I think it's probably okay. The rationale is there, but the point is that this is another one of those codes that was written probably 20 years ago. So it's in dire need of being up.
And it's on our list of the ones we're gonna hit right away. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we're keeping track of all of these that are coming in, so we can address them right away. Okay, and so, yeah,
I
that's.
don't know what the answer is, but it does need to be looked at.
Yeah.
It does.
Appreciate PNC.
The other thing that came in for a variance off of that, just for your information too, was the Thompsons. And when you look at the Thompson sign that was on the side of their building, it's considerably larger than even what there is. And so they have 2 signs on both sides of their property.
Again,
And
that was a huge variance. I was involved with that one, and that was we looked at a couple different, we looked at the visibility to the 52, because all three, Hilltop, Noble RV at the time, and Thompson, so we looked at the distance from the highway to the sign, how big the signs were compared to the signs that were on the RVs.
The angle of the building was.
Yeah, I mean,
So it was
so
quite
all
a
of the-
process. We tried to balance those out and allow something to be, because we're breaking precedents.
Mhm.
Which building is Thompson's?
Okay.
It's the one that's right off the freeway that you see, it's next to the storage area, it's where they do the garage doors.
Oh, okay.
You know, but again, those were some of the things that were brought up in our discussion too, was what
Right.
was going on with that. And this was less than what the Thompsons was.
Exactly.
And I think it blended in so much better with the black backdrop that they had behind it, that it's gonna look rich and look good, so.
In the Thompson one, I remember they said they didn't have the ability to use their billboard. I see their.
That was after the fact,
Yeah.
okay, I would.
Yes. But yeah, so I think it was,
Well, they get the Jones.
so this is on the list.
So is this, one of my questions, is this gonna create a issue with everybody else wants a variance because
Well,
everybody
that-
else got one?
Again, we're
Because
trying to.
we denied Sean Tracy's larger sign.
No, I think we approved their larger sign that they wanted to have for their delivery and their pickups. I think that got approved.
They wanted the sign, so go.
It's a slippery slope, so.
Exactly.
About how you,
Exactly, because we,
or when you come to the council.
because we denied the one gentleman that wanted to extend the size of his garage. It's a variance,
Mm-hmm,
you know,
yeah,
can't pick and choose your variances, what you're gonna approve, what you're not gonna approve.
right. And I'll just make the point on this one. We approved it, and given the fact that this is on our list to look at the code on signs, because it is so old, and
Yeah, I mean,
we know this is
I can
happening.
guarantee your sign ordinance is probably not even legal in a lot of respects, because the league came out with something on this a long time ago, and almost every city's got a bad sign ordinance, and they just haven't fixed them.
Yeah.
And it relates to the political signs that are up, and forcing people to take those down. And you have to draft those in a certain way. There's a nice league memo that explains it. So that's a completely unrelated issue. But every city needs to update their sign ordinance. So I'm not gonna read yours, but I'm sure it needs to be updated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Do we want to make any amendment to the motion about pending the ordinance change or something like that?
No, because it's already on our list that's going on with WSB, so it's coming up in the steering committee.
All right, no other comments? Take the vote.
Mayor Ryland,
Aye.
Councilman Phillips,
Sorry.
Councilman Richards,
Aye.
Councilman Paul. Aye. Councilman Herb.
Aye.
Approved. Like that is an update on WSB project.
I'll just say briefly, we've got our first steering committee that's gonna be coming up. I believe it's May 6th or 8th. It's on Wednesday, 8th, I think. You know, so that's going on. In the meantime, they're working on stuff and we're in communication back and forth with them. So that's moving ahead.
EDA, next item.
Fire department.
Don't have anything.
I mean, the E is the fire department. That's why I didn't know it. There's nothing in there for the fire department.
The minutes are in the back.
Okay.
So we have a replacement. We'd like to recommend council approval of Kathy Gable as a new EDA member. I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Kathy comes to us with a wealth of county EDAs as well as in the Keokuk area, so she has some EDA experience with the city, so she brings a lot of good experience to her, so we're glad she stepped forward, so. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved. In your packet is a copy of our economic development bylaws. I'd like to make a motion, we approve those.
I have a question.
For a second.
After the second. I'll second.
Second, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
So my question, I see in here, Ryland, so there's president, chairman of the board, and executive officer can all be the same person. Are we at all concerned about that, or? I mean, it looks like they're the same person.
Say it again.
It states in section 2.3. So
Which one, Dave?
yeah, page 2 of the bylaws.
And also 2.7 too, that goes over that same thing.
Yeah. Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says the executive director shall largely be in the capacity of an appointed chief operating officer of that authority. It also says the executive director may, however, also serve as a secretary or other officers of that authority. So the executive director can have multiple things going on, so.
Yeah, but my question is the president, so it's the president, chairman of the board, and chief executive officer can all be held by one person.
Yeah, the next
Is
sentence,
that
if there's any time there's no other person who is currently so appointed by the board, or if the position of the executive director is vacant or the designated is unable to act to, so there's.
So are we saying,
So
so
stipulation,
chief,
I guess,
yeah,
or-
so chief executive officer isn't something that you can leave vacant, right? I guess that's my question. 'Cause then you wouldn't have one person serving three positions.
Looks like they were just an intro until the position is filled.
And is president and chairman of the board the same position? You can use those interchangeably.
It sounds like it's just a
Yeah, just a
title.
little unclear.
Yeah.
If they were one position or they're interchangeable.
Should probably ask for more clarity in the language, I would think, so make sure.
We can ask Rebecca and come back. I'm guessing it's just the president is the name. It's also called, can be called chairman of the board or chief executive officer.
I look at it like I'm the city administrator, but I'm also considered the chief executive officer. Like there's different, like, depending on where you're at, they may reference it differently in different paperwork, but it all kind of falls under the same duties, and they're labeling it as a president. However, depending on the paperwork, it may say, oh, the chairman board or the chief executive officer for this. And so that way it kind of covers, yep, this is.
I would like to see us be more clear in our language. Language is a big issue.
Yeah. I just didn't know, by reading this, if president and chairman of the board were the same, and I do see chief executive officer is, cause it says but it sounds like based on what you're saying, Ryland, chief executive officer is a separate position that is normally,
Well,
filled by someone.
if you go back
Other
to
than
section
the president.
2.2, it talks about the officers.
Mhm.
The board of commissioners is made up of the president, only consists of a president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. So I think like what
Yeah.
Jason is saying, it's just a matter, it's always president, but some people may want to call it chairman of the board or chief executive officer, but it still means, it's still the president. I think it's to cover what they might do in Dover, Yoda, they have a chairman of the board versus a president. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it doesn't change the position of the officer.
Mike, do you have any input on this, on why it would be worded this way?
So I looked at it, Sunny asked for a quick review. And she said she didn't want me to spend much time on it, so I looked at it, the whole document. And I prefaced it, I had her email pulled up here that I had sent her. So I said, I have reviewed the bylaws and the template bylaws provided by Rebecca. So Rebecca created these, she's the EDA director, I think. And then I asked Rebecca before I reviewed them, where did you get these? So she said she got them from Spring Grove, the bylaws that Spring Grove used. And just, I never like using templates from a city just because they have it. I mean, they might be wrong. How do you know that you can't just copy and paste things all the time? But I also reviewed, I have a bunch of these on our system. So I went through and looked. And so I wrote her this. I also reviewed some bylaws I have on file from other cities. I don't see any legal deficiencies in the document, which is true. I don't think the document was illegal. But I said, because I only asked for a quick review, I've not compared the document to your enabling resolution. So the one thing you'd want to check related to your question is, does the enabling resolution contradict that provision that you're talking about? I don't think it would. I mean, I've read those enabling resolutions before. I don't think that's something that would be covered. So what's your specific question, I guess?
Did you have any, advice as to why it would be worded this way under the president category and the executive director, why they're listing off the different titles such as the chairman of the board, the chief executive officer? Is that customary or is that?
Well, those titles are typically in the enabling resolution. So the enabling resolution will say, I think I have yours, I can pull it up here. So yeah, you know, there's been a kind of a theme of having people listed in the city code or something like that, and then like building official, but we talked about that. Well, who's the building official? It doesn't say who that is. Let me just pull it up here. Yay.
Any other comments while he's looking for that?
Yeah, I don't have it.
One question I have, Ryland, so, you know, it mentions the mayor. Now, so when you leave office, then does the new mayor take that position, take the president? The positions that you take, or is that a whole? Oh, I see, it just says by mayor here, and it just made me ask the question.
Which number is it under?
There's no number, I just had the question.
So
I know we already.
I think it's up,
I was just
when my
asking.
term expires and we go through the process, as we did with anybody else, it'd be a recommendation and.
Oh, okay.
Come to the council, I would think, unless it's.
To me, I read it as, okay, he said, if when his term's done, if he's done, we're bringing in a new mayor, yeah, okay, the mayor would step in, we'd make the recommendation that they're now appointed that position and. Like,
Yeah, and that's a question, I didn't necessarily see it.
You know, basically, caused by commissioners who are city council.
it just thought me the
Just out of
mayor, the
curiosity.
new mayor would make the recommendation to council that he'd be appointed to
The
any of the
only,
positions.
the only thing I had was on the treasurer's bond that there is, okay, the bond must be twice the amount of money likely to be on hand. At any one point in time determined that at least annually by the authority provided, however, said bond must not exceed 300,000. How much are we gonna have for a treasurer's bond?
So do they have a treasurer's bond?
Well, I'm just, I was wondering, I said like, how much is what I was wondering, or where we are with that, I don't know.
$10,000 bond is, I don't know, $50 or something like that. It's not really-
Well, no, I just didn't know how much it was or what we were doing with that, that's what my question was.
So I don't see anything in the bylaws. I just found your bylaws. I read them. There's nothing in there that specifically references any positions.
Enabling,
What?
enabling resident.
Yeah, it just, all it says is and we've talked about this before in council, the EDA should consist of a governing body of 7 commissioners. 2 of the commissioners shall be city council members. All commissioners should be appointed by the mayor with the approval of the city council. Those initially appointed should be appointed for terms of 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, or 6 years respectively. Thereafter, that's all 6 years. They do that so that people don't all come up for expiration at the same time. Vacancy is created, so that's all there is, and then it references the mayor, the city administrator, clerk, treasurer, and other appropriate city officials are authorized to directed to take action to execute and deliver the documents necessary to give this resolution full faith and effect. Doesn't have anything about position, so it's probably in my email to her. Well, you can kind of do whatever, you know, unless the statutes, 469 says you have to do it a certain way. But I don't think it does.
Well,
So I don't think it does, but you can ask
Our
Rebecca.
EDA board.
Yeah, Rebecca drafted these. She'd be the person to ask.
Yeah, look, we'll take it back to our EDA board meeting in April and review that, you know, it says shall serve largely in the capacity, so it's not that big a deal. We can take that out. We could also take the next sentence out as too, because no other person is currently so appointed. Well, the vice president should be able to take that role if nothing else.
Yeah, when I read these, I thought they were legally sufficient. I didn't necessarily think they were the only way you can do it, but it's not my, you know, she did it, so that's.
If you would have said something back in the office, or the president / chief executive officer down here on the duties in 2.2, that's a question, but we don't say that. It's just
Right.
yeah. Cover those cities that want to call it something different again.
And mine was just a question out of curiosity.
Well, I mean, when I read it, I was kind of like, these are fine. Yeah, these are fine.
Thank you.
But it's not, you know, that's just what Sonny asked for, so.
It's a living document. It can be changed anytime.
Right.
In annual meeting, so. I make a motion, we approve.
We already did.
No.
Yeah, you already did. I think I approved it.
Yep, so that way, again, he seconded it, that way we could discuss it.
Yeah.
That's really.
Yes.
So we're, I guess we're.
All in favor?
I.
Signify by saying aye. Got me going the wrong track here. Thank you. Yes. Parks and Trails. Make a motion, we approve Kevin McDermott as our new committee member.
We make a motion that we approve, Kevin.
Riley made the motion.
Yeah, I think Ryland made
I
it.
second it, then.
Second.
You made it.
You second. Any comments? Needs to be a great ad, so I'm glad he's come forward. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item, we're having a music in the park. There's 4 groups during the month of, there's 3 in June and 1 in July for a total of $1,825, using $2,500 of the budget, so I think it's great.
I make a motion to approve music in the park.
Second.
We have a local band, ALP in the 45s. Lives in the township, and he's very excited about having his band play for us. They play 60s and 70s music, so that'd be the first night on June 2nd. So.
We know who the other one is?
It's a triple berry pie, which they were here last year. It's a quartet of triplet of 3 ladies, classic brass quintet, and Uptown Jazz. All of these have good followings. Uptown Jazz probably has the biggest following. You hear a lot of them advertised in the Rochester area. So. Any other comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Last item is a proposed letter. I've been working with Heather Lukes at MnDOT. She's assistant district engineer for program support. So what we're trying to do is to agree to a letter, language of a letter to send to the commissioners. That's in your packet about how we're going to kind of MOU, if you will, going forward. About purchasing the property at fair market value. We talked about that because it's bonding bill money was used to buy it. So it's bonding got to have a value going, take it off the books. I am going to recommend that. And I sent my suggestion into Heather. Well, I sent it into the gentleman at the bottom of this, Keith Gillinger. And Heather followed up with a note and she says, I'll follow up with your suggestion. And that was in the second dot, MnDOT will install and will pay for right-of-way fencing as a standalone project or incorporate into a future roadway project. And I asked if they could strike that or incorporate it into a future project, replace it by and complete it within 12 months of purchase, of land purchase. And I sent that suggestion to this gentleman Keith, along with the poster that we have for Lake Shady. I said, this is the reason we'd like to move forward, and by having that being a future roadway project, it really is an indefinite time limit for when we start doing our planning. So that's why I put a time limit on it, and we'll see where it goes.
What is landlocked swampland worth
In a park.
What's it worth? It ain't worth much.
No, that's,
It wouldn't, to the state of Minnesota, it wouldn't be worth the extra fence it'd take to fence it off from us.
I'd love to have that fence though along there, I'll tell you.
so we're hoping we get a great story, and
The additional fence.
yeah, I'm hoping Heather will work for us and come back with a good response to that. You know, I'll let you guys know when it does happen.
Okay.
Council knows, so. That's the work continues to be worked on.
And the access to it is gonna be underneath the.
Underneath the Lake Shady,
Frontage there.
Lake Shady Frontage Road Run. The same access we use for all the reconstruction, the dam removal.
Right. That's the only access though.
Yes. Hopefully,
West side.
in the future, we have a bridge across the North River from the park. We have a bridge in the plan that the guys put together back in 2010, 2011, I guess it was. So, all right. Public Works. I don't know if we need an action yet, but we'll see what comes back from the committee before we make a motion to move forward, so.
Ian was talking about city logos.
Yeah, okay, yeah, please.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I think it's time Orinoco rebrands. I've had some talks with Jason, city staff, Ryland shared with me today that the EDA is possibly looking into this venture of rebranding the city. It's time. If anyone knows what our logo is, your question. There's about
Yes,
a
I
couple
do
of
know
them.
what it is. It's on the side of your truck, okay? The minor.
So I think it's time that we get a logo moving forward. Cause what's going on now is we're looking at you know, identifying our property, our equipment, anything from a road cone to a vehicle to a water and sewer infrastructure. We want to identify that as ours, and instead of just block letters, you know, maybe now is the time to come up with something that's more representative of Orinoco. So with that being said, we are also looking at city apparel, whether that be uniforms, a rental service, or purchasing clothing, uniforms for public works staff right now. It could grow into counselors apparel. The sky's the limit, wherever we want to take it, but know that I am working towards getting uniforms or something in place for my staff in the months to come. I want my staff to be clearly identified as a city employee, and with that, there's the possibility, now that we're working with sewer, that you know, getting that sewer actually on us, on our clothing, having a rental company, a service to do that laundry. So I'm not taking my clothes home and washing it with my family's clothing. So I think there's a benefit there, a safety benefit as well. So
A lot of cities do that, right?
yeah, they do. And you know, some places offer washer and dryer on site, but then now you guys are paying staff to do their laundry on site. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, exactly.
Everybody might close out there. Too.
Exactly. So just know I am looking into some uniform services, and I will have more hard details, hard numbers in the months to come, but with that, you know, we can add logos to apparel. I know council members, I'm sure you guys would benefit from having a shirt that says City of Orinoco. I don't know, light jackets, quarter zips, you name it, the sky's the limit. I just wanna start moving towards that. And are there any thoughts on the logo, on the branding?
The one thing I'll say with that real quick too is I know with the logo we have, it seems like it crosses a lot with Gold Rush, and with us separating from Gold Rush, I don't know if there's copyright infringement or if that logo is
copyrighted logo.
okay, so that's something that we're gonna have to look into changing, because if they have it, we can't without paying fees and stuff like that. So that's something that we need to be cognizant of as a city. And I don't know if that was ever discussed prior to the separation, but I don't remember it being discussed in the special council meeting with that. It was
not discussed.
okay. So that'll be something that, again, the push for it now is the time to do the rebranding, all that, especially as the city's growing, bringing in, you know, new businesses and new developments. And I think it's just the time to refresh everything and bring it up there.
We know, Kane, how many pieces of equipment do we have our current logo on? I know what we do on our truck.
No, it's a hodgepodge. It's a hodgepodge on the trucks. I don't think there's anything copyrighted there. I think mistakenly, maybe we took the minor symbol and added City of Orinoco to it. I think that's just happened by chance. There's nothing fancy about our truck logos, there's nothing unique about it. It's block letters and a minor symbol.
That might have been one of the trucks that Gold Rush helped purchase, one of the old ones.
Yeah, maybe that was, you know.
You want a logo contest.
You know, I think EDA can work towards that. I'm not saying what EDA should do, but maybe there's funding out there for rebranding, and that would cover some of those costs too, so.
My thought for suggesting that is that
yeah,
I think we have more opportunities to search for grants than maybe the city has, and it's not a budget item too, so.
and you know, maybe the thing too is we ask for community input, you know, like a coloring contest or, you know.
Right.
You know, designing a button like the Cheese Fest. Anyone familiar with Cheese Fest? Every fourth grader gets to design a Cheese Fest button. Well, so maybe we could, you know, see what the community's up to. And so just at the next meeting, I'd like to have some movement with the logo, but know that I am coming back with some uniform options and apparel for my staff. And like I said, the sky's the limit. So if any of you have ideas on what you want, please reach out to me and we can get that incorporated. Any questions?
I think we have a line item for stuff for the council too for that.
Yeah, you know, there might be some talented people in the community that would want to give you their idea.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I like the idea. Well, we have to anyway.
It'll look like progress.
We'll look forward to more information there, so.
For sure, thanks.
You can just stay there now too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Paul had to add to the agenda. You want to do
Well,
that?
I've been approached by a couple of people, you know, neighbors. I had 3 neighbors talk to me. Well, it seemed like the complications with CMS doing inspections, and some reason they can't do them right away.
Okay.
Is our city staff capable of doing those inspections?
Yes.
I make a motion to give them 2 projects to city staff to do the water and sewer inspections for the water and sewer connections.
Second.
They're already here. We're not waiting for them to come
Right, there
2
won't be no
cities away.
delay.
There's not gonna be an hour delay or whatever. Contractors like to move forward and get the project's done for the day.
Just one point, not to interrupt, but CMS would still do the buildings, the structures, the 2 sisters, right?
This is just.
This would just be the water and sewer
Connection
inspections, yeah. Okay.
inspection installations.
Yeah, staff that have time to do that.
Right now, we're already doing it. We're already inspecting, we're already going out. And what I find beneficial for the inspections and for the homeowners and the contractors is more involvement up front
Yep.
explaining the steps, how we're gonna get from point A to point B, and how they're gonna go live with sewer and how they're gonna go live with water. So the more involvement we have in the beginning of the process helps the end product.
Right.
So we're already doing the inspections as well. We're on site for those. So right now with CMSs, we're doubled up.
Okay,
And-
yeah, that makes sense.
And they're the ones that are kind of setting that schedule. We'll be there at this time, we'll be there at that time, or they won't be there. So right now, you know, fellow contractors are calling me. I'm on speed dial. I'm on the phone way more than I want to be, but at least we're kept in the loop. And there's only one loop, you know, there's two parties involved, the contractor and Public Works.
Okay. Would you be able to start that May 1st?
Like I said, we've already been doing the inspections. I feel like we can hit the ground running seamlessly.
Or Monday?
Starting right now, starting immediately.
So the only question I would have is that we have a contract with CMS. And so right now, we're not terminating the contract, but there is a 60-day notice there. So I think to maintain the cooperation of wanting to work with CMS,
Yeah.
we should approach CMS to see how we would go about rewriting the contract or something to the effect to make sure that they understand it's not a terminating the contract, it's just that we want to refine the contract with regarding the water and sewer hookups and the inspections. Because I can appreciate what you're saying, we gotta make sure we're not
Right, that's why I'm suggesting.
throwing the baby out.
Maybe May 1st.
So what does the contract,
Give time to.
what does the contract with CMS say? We just negotiated it. We just did this long contract. We went back and forth with them. Does it say that we have to give them the business? We're contractually obligated to let them do this?
If I recall, we have to give them a 60-day notice.
Well, no, we're not gonna get rid of the
But we're not
contract.
eliminating.
So-
Well, that's fine.
Let me finish. We have to give them a 60-day notice to terminate their services.
Yeah, so
But
we're.
we can take anything out of their service, what we could call them for.
Okay.
We
That's
can
trouble.
change that at our whim, I
We
believe.
only need you for this.
Right.
Well, that's why, I think that's how it works. Like CMS doesn't directly work with property owners, right? CMS works through City Hall. Somebody wants to build a house, they go to Renee, bring a permit in, Renee contacts CMS.
Correct.
So what you're suggesting is we just won't contact CMS for these.
Correct.
Right.
We'd handle all the water and
That's,
sewer
I'm fine with that. That's.
permits in-house.
So to just touch on that though, the permit application process, it does have a sheet on the back that says, after this has been approved, contact CMS to set up whatever, and that's in the wording. I don't know where that all came about, if that was part of the contract. I just got the contract yesterday. I haven't had time to look into it. That was one of the things that I want to do, was looking to make sure that we have that ability to get out of it. Because by all means, why are we dragging this out? Like, I 100% agree. I'm on board with that. I just want to make sure we're covered from our end with the contract, like you were saying.
Yeah, I'm reading it now. I just,
I've read through the contract. I do not see where water, and Renee, you can correct me too, or Jason or Mike, I don't remember seeing any idea or any wording identifying water and sewer inspections. There was a comment about
yeah,
plumbing.
yeah, there's general language in here that just says they will perform all of these services. But it doesn't say exclusively. I mean, but this is like a 1-minute read of this. So what I'm getting at is, if the process is, it's a requirements contract. We tell you we require a permit, you go do the permit. Then we just won't tell them about these particular classes of permits. And then we're not requesting the service then, right?
And there's no double charge or anything right now, is there, where the city charges and CMS charges?
No,
We're not in a situation like that.
Well, they're gonna be there anyway.
Be there.
Yeah, but they're gonna be there anyway, because they have to put the meter. in
Yeah,
and
but I'm
do
just
it,
saying, like,
so-
that's, we're paying them to be there. That's kind of the double charge, if
Yeah,
you will,
yeah.
more or less, but yeah, we're paying them to be there anyways, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm just not telling you, this wasn't on the agenda. I haven't reviewed this contract.
So one thing one way to kind of relate this is, Olmsted County, they take care of wells and septics, right? So if you had a new septic in Orinoco, Olmsted County has that authority, right? A new well within Orinoco, Homestead County has that authority to inspect it, hand out the permits administratively. Same thing with, electrical in the state of Minnesota. If you want an electrical permit, the state of Minnesota takes care of that permitting and inspection.
And it'll probably be the same with the abandonment of septic tanks. The
So-
county will have to handle those too, probably. I guess.
Yep, and they deal with the actual pumpers, the actual contractors do that portion of it, so this is just one step where it's the city's utilities, water and sewer. And we will take care of the permitting, we will take care of the inspections. We are the authority, the jurisdiction having authority, how's that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading through it, and so we copied their scope of services into this. And I had written an email at some point that just said, look at those, make sure that's what you want. And we didn't change it, I mean, I wrote the contract, they wrote the scope of services. And it's just an attachment to the contract and it's long and convoluted, so, but whatever, I mean, as long, you know, what I don't wanna see is there's something in there about paying them a percentage of permit fees. So what I wouldn't want is we do the work, we charge a permit fee and then they claim, we get a percentage of that because that's a permit fee, even though they didn't do the inspection. Right?
Gotcha.
So when it's an accounting function, so like when you're accounting for this, you know, don't pay them for those permits then and whatever.
So Mike, if we set a time of May 1st or something like that, would that give enough time to fully review it, to make sure we're covered and we don't have any hidden fees or?
Well, I mean, you could just bring it back in May, we can look at it, but by that time, they'll all be done, right?
Well, you know, a lot of these are happening, you know, yesterday, I think 10 or 12 went out yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Every
gonna do
day
it so
it's-
fast that by that time.
But I'd say we've got 80 permits. Well, we got sewer, 200 of those.
Well,
Water,
actually,
there's
I
80.
take that back, because they're not doing them now, you're doing them.
No, they are as well.
We're following the process.
I
and
see.
some-
Well, I get, okay, so if you just tell them not to do them, you're gonna handle those, you could do that and just not charge them and see what they say, and I think that's reasonable. If they say we get them the permit fees anyway, then we'll just look at the contract more, but. So, right, well, okay, you're doing them right now, they're doing some of them right now, the ones that you're doing right now, you're not forwarding those pursuant
We're
to the,
shadowing basically what CMS is doing.
but you're not.
They're both there.
They're not doing anything by themselves. They're
Got it.
shadowing when CMS is there.
Maybe remove that CMS off the contract so you can ask people to pick up their permits.
So is that a double charge for CMS and for the city?
No, but it's kind of a hidden fee, you know, the
Yeah.
city's paying
Yeah,
public works staff to be there
right.
for our needs and to
Right.
satisfy us. We have to be there, we're required, and they're kind of this third party that is
So they.
cumbersome.
So-
They are paying.
Could we make your motion, Paul, to say something to the effect of pending a thorough review of the contract and notification to CMS, just to say, because I just want to cover our bases. We're not jumping into something that's gonna come back and whether it's the fees or whatever case, I just rather have some structure of how we're going to go about doing this, of separating, but we want to protect the city as well.
So that way, once we look through it and I get notified, I can go, yep, Kane, we're good to go. And off.
They're called special meeting and
Well, I think you're approving it tonight, subject to
Subject to the-
Jason determining that there's a
So we
problem.
don't have to call a special meeting
No.
unless there's an
Basically,
issue.
can read through the contract, see what's in it.
Yeah, I can work with Mike, we can get it figured out, and then as long as pending approval, pending the, there's no issue.
You know, if it works out between you two, there, and all you do is call Kane to have him do the inspection, there's no reason to involve CMS in that discussion.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying, but like right now, they're gonna get paid for work you're doing right now, for what you've been doing, right?
Well, they've done all inspections to date,
Oh, okay.
but we're also doing our inspections, we're doubling up on inspections.
So moving forward, it wouldn't be any additional work for you just to do that inspection.
Correct, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not gonna notify them of a permit.
Right.
The water and sewer permits are staying in-house, they're not going to CMS.
Got it.
So
Yeah, I get
at
it.
this point, when do they go to CMS?
People come to City Hall, step one, to fill out a water or sewer connection permit.
Okay.
After that, it gets forwarded to CMS. CMS processes it. Jason, Renee, help me out here.
Yeah, that's basically, so there's the application, they come in, they fill out an application, pay the fee. We have talked with CMS and basically, once they pay the fee, we tell them you're good to go. We're not making them wait for the physical permit, because we don't want to delay the process going through for them having to do their work. And then, yeah, so CMS is utilized, I think a big function of providing CMS with that documentation is it's organized online, so we have access to it, Kane included, so we know like, okay, when it gets approved and it can now be set up to have the hookups done. The program that we utilize, the iWorks, is with CMS, and they're the ones that log all that in. Am I right in understanding that?
I'm logging on all in now.
Okay, so you're logging all that in now, so we don't need them to log in
They log in when they do the inspections and stuff like that,
but as far as inputting all the stuff, we don't need them for that portion of it with those, okay. I thought we were having them do some of that work, so, yeah, if Renee is doing that. It creates more tasks for her.
There's one skinny tab, they can, might not go back and make it over the counter,
That's what I'm reading right now.
but it still involves an inspection, so that's what we're really getting, we're moving inspections away from CMS to CMS. Public Works, so.
And you know, we're moving into that over the counter phase now, or April 8th, I think that went live, the over the counter option, I would call it.
Roofs, mechanical stuff, whatever there's.
So what I'm saying though is previous to April 8th, I think it was, they weren't over the counter. CMS was approving them. And some of those approvals were taking additional time. Several residents were reaching out, calling me, what's the problem, Kane? I think some council members have been included on those conversations. And so it wasn't until just recently that this over the counter has kind of become this new norm.
And that was part of the transition of their software package to this week to 10 days. That was the gray area, but I think we're beyond that or close.
So they had a week to 10 days to approve a permit, CMS?
No, that was in this transition of their software to work with. That's hopefully behind us now, but.
Yeah, I mean,
Honestly,
honestly,
building permits and everything just follows the same process that's in place, so.
I think if you wanna do, I'm just reading, I read the whole thing, the attachment. I think if you wanna do it that way, just tell them you're gonna do it, I guess, and then just do it. And if they have a problem with it, they can call Jason and complain, and then we'll look at, but I don't see anything in here that says we exclusively must use them as our building services person, entity, building official.
For all services.
Well, I think it's questionable when we're talking about value permits in here.
Well, that's another story.
That's another, I think it's quite, I think we have to use them probably. And we would want to, because they provided us insurance in our name, they're indemnifying us, nobody else is, and if you make a mistake, we want them to make the mistake, because then that's why you hire consultants, so. You wanna use them, I think what you're saying, what Paul is saying is these are simple permits that you guys can handle quicker than they can handle them. And they're not controversial, and it doesn't require a certain licensed building official. That would be my other question, so.
Correct. And that's what I hear from all the contractors around is the city takes care of this in my town, or in this town, or in that town. Everyone's telling me the same thing. We never get an inspection. I've even heard the city of Rochester, I've even heard other building inspectors say, why are we doubling up on this? Why am I coming out here to do the thing that you guys are already doing? So.
Yeah, I would just do it.
Okay.
Tell them you're gonna do that part of it, just that part of it, or whatever we're talking about.
Just the water and sewer connections permits, yep.
If that's what you wanna do, that's what the city wants to do.
Jason, you and I tomorrow maybe make a call. I can make the call. How?
Mike, do we need an official letter to him?
No.
Or then just call and talk with?
I think you just call them and tell them you're gonna do those from now on.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah, I'm fine with
and
that.
if they don't want, if they raise complaints, then we'll do something else, but it just doesn't seem that controversial to me, right? Yeah, that's what I would do.
I'm on board.
All right,
A motion and a second, so.
I made the motion, but
We
Riley wants to take back his friendly amendment type thing.
I I'm sorry, over talked. What did you say again?
I made the motion to start it. I'm not-
And then you put a friendly emotion in it. I don't think we need the friendly part of it.
Effective immediately.
Yeah, we can just go with the first, the main motion that we had and start it right away.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, Paul, if there is a leak or some work that's been done that doesn't come
That
back
was a
to,
different conversation.
okay, but that doesn't come back to the city, that goes to the contractor. The contractor is responsible for their work. And CMS will tell you that, Olmsted County, Minspec, any of these inspection companies will tell you that. They're not at fault, the inspector's not at fault for a leak that floods a basement. So,
Right.
200% right.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
thanks, everyone, you made my night, thank you.
Thanks, Game.
Unfinished business. Again, update on personnel policy.
I gotta sneak out.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Good question. I have not heard anything of personnel policy of you.
No. Not after what we've done and given over to Jason to take a look at, and we still have to come up with something there is for on call. You know, I think we can work on that, but other than that, it's.
Then next 2 weeks, Jason, can we pick your brain, get some time?
Yeah, I guess, and I'm gonna be looking for guidance as to how much do you want me to take on with this? Because I've been looking at personnel policies for cities around the area because I think it needs a complete overhaul, and I don't know what has been done on that other end. I've been briefly communicating with, I forget who the individual was. Nico, thank you. Trying to get that figured out and stuff, and I don't know that there has been much movement on it. So that's kind of I was trying to figure out what role do I need to play in this? And I know that we've talked about the on-call stuff and I'm fine with sitting down and figuring that out. And working on that.
You know, the other thing we're
Well, why
missing
don't-
is that part of it. The other part, I think we should just keep it with what we were working with LMC and using that form that they have for their guidance. So everything is pretty much going with what the state is, which is where we're at right now. So,
And that's, I know they update those forms, so it's the latest update.
Yeah.
So it's electronic now? Is it on the file?
yeah, everything has been done with that from my understanding that he's got that, because he commented back with us, you know, and so it's been moving, so.
I saw that. My one question, I was gonna ask him this, you can ask him this. Who's gonna put the final draft together?
Well, it was
Do you want
gonna
us to
be,
do that?
yeah, it was gonna be, so that's what we were waiting for off of that, so everything else has been presented, so.
Okay, and I saw his comments. He wrote that long email, high level comments, he called it, and then, but I haven't seen the final document. So they were handwritten comments, so somebody's gonna have to go type those in. So I think when you call him, you talk to him. And I can send him an email right now that they're expecting somebody at our firm to just collate the final document
Right.
in typed form and getting it prepared for.
So coming back and then we can look at it here at council too, I think is what we need to do, so.
Yeah.
Council's gotta approve it.
I think that, Jason, for you to look, and some of the things you've already addressed, you know, office hours and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, good, thank
A
you.
lot of work.
New business.
New business, some resolutions, we'll hopefully move through those. This is, first one is resolution 2024-10, which is a hold harmless agreement with the Downtown Orinoco Gold Rush Inc. for August 15th to the 18th.
So, Ryland, I have one question on that one.
Okay,
You had said, we had talked a while ago that you wanted me to do a license agreement for this.
Yep.
So this is the license agreement. And this is basically, I mean, right in here, it says merger clause, this agreement constitutes the final expression of the parties' agreement and complete an exclusive statement of the terms agreed upon, and it goes on and on. So like this is what we would be doing. A lot of these terms like indemnification, insurance, littering, utility service, all that. I mean, that's what a license agreement does. you know, so so it's fine if you adopt this. I guess I would recommend we redraft it, but I think if you wanna just do this year, we could do it for next year. Or if you want me to, but you would ask me to redo it, so that was on my list to do between now and
Right, so I started the map, and you gave me an example of
Right.
Winona. So I've got a draft of a map that I put together identifying our city areas that we're using.
right. So my other concern with it, I did review it. I had some time tonight, you guys were talking about stuff, so I did review. The one thing I think you need to change if you were to go with this agreement is the insurance. So it doesn't meet the Tort Claims Act. This is probably from many years ago that you've been using the same one.
Right, yeah, we get a new policy signed every year and pay for it.
Yeah, so in any insurance, this is for Jason's notification, but when you do these contracts, you want to make sure that they're doing at least the amount of insurance in the Tort Claims Act. So that's the maximum liability the city can face. So they need to give us at least that much coverage so that, you know, we wouldn't face any, if they tried to sue the city, even though they shouldn't under this agreement, but if they tried to, we would at least be covered up to the statutory maximum liability in the Tort Claims Act. And so this policy, what it says is the Gold Rush shall provide general liability for this event in the amount of $500,000 per claim and $1,500 per occurrence. And that,
1.5 million.
or 1.5 million per occurrence, but that doesn't meet the statutory limits.
What is it?
Because,
What are the limits?
so it says, this is a language thing, so pay attention. 1.5 million for any number of claims arising out of a single occurrence. And so what that means is if only one person has one claim and it's $10 million, what the agreement they want you to sign says is the max they can get for that claim is $500,000 because it's the limit per claim, and then there's a cumulative limit of 1.5 million.
Okay.
When that's slightly different language, but it matters.
So it's that 1.5 million, that's cumulative over
Per occurrence. So like if there's for example, if there's
3 people get hurt.
yeah, if there's a mass shooting at your Gold Rush days, that would be a good example. And then that's one occurrence, but there's 7 people that want to make a claim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each one, the way it's written, would be limited to $500,000 per claim, and then the maximum would be the tort claims limit. The way we have it in the other agreement, the Big Muddy Brew and Q is the one I looked at, is we don't even put a limit in there. We just state the statute, we just reference the statute. And so that's what I would recommend you change. It's very short, 2 little mini paragraphs. Licensee shall at expense maintain liability with limits not less than the maximum liability for municipalities provided in Minnesota statute, section 466.04. The city of Winona or Orinoco shall be named insured. And then it has other language that I would want, that the insurance policy and certificate shall not be canceled without 10 days written notice to the city administrator, so that they can't get the insurance and then it gets terminated or they cancel it or whatever. So just that one paragraph, if you go with this, I'd want to change that one paragraph. If you want the whole on license agreement, we can certainly do that by next meeting. You know, it doesn't take that long.
Let's work towards that. We're doing something tonight.
So then just table this tonight. We'll fix that and do that.
Okay. Thank you.
What was the other agreement that was you were reading from?
That was, so we do these for a lot of cities. We have these like.
No, the one you were referencing, that paragraph too, that was one
in
of
the Big Muddy.
No, I know, the event that it's referencing.
Yeah, the statute.
No, the event that you referenced that it was in for their wording.
Called the Big Muddy.
Thank you.
Brew and Q.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a beer and barbecue festival in Winona. It's great. It's a great time. But, so we have we do these agreements for all these different cities. And it's just, they're not real long either. It's not, you guys are probably sick of my long agreements. It's not real long. It's only 5 pages, 6 pages.
Yeah, I remember. I just was trying to remember what the name you said.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna we have templates and all these different steamboat days and all these different, you know. All I'm suggesting is you do 1 5-page agreement for this one. That's a little bit better. And then we copy it every year with them moving forward. And the insurance provision is no good in the current one, so we should fix that.
Realign the current.
Yeah, and just reference the statute, because they change that statute all the time. And so that's why, otherwise you gotta check that every year. I mean, realistically, the city of Winona doesn't even hardly check this each year.
Well, out of curiosity, if it's required insurance required to meet tort claims, is there a way that a bond can be written on it? Cause that way you never have to redo it unless the bond is collected on.
Well,
You have to pay a premium each year.
well, no, insurance and bonding are different. So you couldn't get a bond for that purpose.
You couldn't.
No, a bond is for is something a bond company would write a bond for, which is not an unknown event, like potentially an accident at a future event.
Gotcha.
So a bond is like, well, the development agreement we're gonna do with these people.
Yeah.
That's for the public improvements. And so it's a very specific, like, they're gonna complete these public improvements and you will provide us a bond. That if you don't, we'll call, and the bonding company will be able to write a contract and say, we'll go pay you so that you can go finish those improvements if the developer goes bankrupt.
Leaves the city with the funds to cover it.
So it's not a bondable event, no bonding company would sell it. All right, talked enough about it.
So that's 10, right? 2024-10 that we're gonna table?
Yes.
Okay.
Next item is a resolution 2024-11, which is the designated use of right of ways for downtown Little Rush during the 15th of August.
So in that one would be part and parcel of what the agreement I'm gonna draft you. So you don't need to do a separate.
Incorporate that into that.
Yeah.
To hold that one too.
That's what your map is for. Your map is gonna lay out what we're licensing to them and then.
And I can identify the right of ways too.
Correct. Yeah, in that, yeah. By name, you just list them, Johnson Street from First Street to Third Street.
See the map.
That map's not included in the packet.
No, I'm still working on it.
He's working on it, yeah. That's why we had talked about that. That's why I was confused why that was.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was confused too.
Let's table it already.
We'll figure
That
it
one
out.
there? Okay. Let's just table rest of them.
Okay.
Next item is 2024-12.
There was a change on that one from what I was looking at in the past, and maybe I'm wrong. On the fire, on that one, Irv,
First responders.
yeah, Irv is, the alternate to me. Okay, not Jim Richards, and Jim Richards is the alternate for first responders, right?
That's what I thought it was.
So
Yeah,
we
so-
switched.
Yeah, so it's a switch, yeah.
Okay.
Paul and Jim, the first responders.
Yeah, this one, so, well, water and sewers, but this one right here, this one switched, so Irv should be here on fire.
Jim.
Oh, I'm still gonna be on fire then.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay, and Jim Richards is up here on first responders, so that's on. So this is Jim Richards, yeah. There you go.
Can I just offer a suggestion? If you see things like this, when you get the packet, if you could just bring it to Renee's attention right away, we can try and get these things updated.
Yeah, well, she was on vacation, and so it was like, I decided to bring.
Well, I thought you guys were just switching me around.
No, it was just,
So I didn't say nothing.
well, no, it was kind of one of those things, and I'm sorry, I'll do that from now on.
So could we just approve it, adopt this resolution with those two edits, so it doesn't have to come back?
Yeah, sure, okay, that's, all right.
Nothing has changed.
So I make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-12 with the edits of Jim Richards moving to the alternate for first responders and Irv, excuse me, moving to the alternate of fire department and fire relief.
Second.
Any other comments? With the voice vote?
No, we gotta do a regular. It's down here for,
There's voice vote.
or just voice, okay,
Yeah, no, it's individual.
yeah.
Call vote.
Mayor Ryland,
Aye.
Councilman Paul,
Aye.
Councilman Richards,
Aye.
Councilman Phillips,
Aye.
Councilman Irv.
Aye.
Next one is a donation, from National Night Out for $1,500 from Gold Rush to the city to, use for night to unite, or National Night Out.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 2024-13 for resolution for national.
I'll second it.
Yeah, night to unite.
Any comments? And then all those in favor? Voice vote.
Mayor Ryland,
Aye.
Councilman Phillips,
Aye.
Councilman Richards,
Aye.
Councilman Paul,
I,
Councilman Irv.
Aye.
What is a process to 2024-14, which is a resolution to establish a Board of Appeals and Equalization. This would be to be used for next 2025. But we have to set a board up, that's the main thing, so. I make a motion, we approve resolution 2024-14.
Second.
No comments, although.
Well, what is, Board of Equalization do?
Sure, what it is this usually happens in the first week of April. This is when residents will come and ask some adjustment on their property taxes. And, but in order to do that, everybody that's a council member has to be trained by February 1st. Right now we have that. I think Jim, and Jim are all, but as we go through the elections and whoever comes back on the council, they have to be trained by February 1st. It's a state certified online test that you take. And so we have to be certified because we lost it back in 2022, 23. We had to skip a year 24. That's why hopefully we'll have it again on 25.
What caused us to lose it?
We just didn't get it in time, I think is what it was.
So, because we don't have it, residents that have an issue with that go to the county, at the county meeting there.
So they couldn't come to the meeting here and.
They can come to me and take care of some of them, but if it requires some new appraisal value, or that's the direction of the council to the resident, we have assessors here with us at that meeting, and they give us direction too on advise that council how to move.
Yeah, and without
Let's
the
see
right
the-
number of
You do need the
people.
training to make those conversations.
Yeah, because we can't approve anything without enough people training.
You can have the meeting, but it's not a very effective meeting because we weren't trained to make any actions, so that's why let's skip this year too. No other comments? Voice vote?
Mayor Ryland,
Aye.
Councilman Phillips,
Aye.
Councilman Richards,
Aye.
Councilman Paul,
I,
Councilman Irv.
Aye.
Next item is a motion to approve a joint powers agreement regarding City of Orinoco and Ulster County outdoor warning siren agreement. And then there's at the very back of it is a listing of all the cities that and the locations of what sirens, and they've been going off this week a couple different times. With tornado warnings.
So I make a motion.
Resolution 2024-25.
It's a motion.
It's a resolution.
No, it's a motion.
I make.
No, it's a motion to agree to the joint powers agreement. Yes. No resolution. I'll second it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item is 2024-15, which is a resolution just adding some additional signatures on behalf of the city for signing checks. A request from was it from the bank or from the Renee? Request. Signatures. I know we had a request to do this. They're asking for 2 city members, 2 staff. 2 staff and 2 council members, but so we had the choice of because Renee and Jason and Jim I guess we're just reassuring that evidently.
Well, I know I'm technically not listed yet because I'm new employee, new administrator, so I know that I need to get that approval from council to be able to sign.
That's
So
the
this
whereas,
is-
it's right, okay.
Yeah, so this is just adding
Identifies
as
who
a
are they,
signature.
yeah.
Let's just add Jason to this, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, it's just adding Jason, yes.
So I make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-15.
Second.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor by voice vote?
Mayor Ryland,
Aye.
Councilman Phillips,
Aye.
Councilman Richards,
Aye.
Councilman Paul,
Aye.
Councilman Erb.
Aye.
Resolution 2024-16 is a resolution approving the use of public safety aid dollars that we received in December of 2023. So we used, it was a total dollars received from the state was $79,166. We used the initial $43,000 used towards the purchase of the used fire engine. And the balance of that will be used for outfitting equipment for the fire engine.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-16.
Second.
So this 36,166 will be our portion of the agreed to city's $50,000 for outfitting the fire engine too, so. So we still have a balance of 13 page or something like that.
Can we use some of that money for other safety items?
You'd already,
Yeah, we could, we thought we had, yeah.
but I thought we had already approved everything that there was for this already when we went to buy the unit. So that was, this money all went to that.
Yes.
Okay, so to take it and go to other stuff, no. Because it's already been taken care of for this.
Technically, it could have been used for
But,
fire equipment aid or.
but.
Well, I just thought some of it could be used for security cameras and street signs and.
No, this was, it's pretty straightforward on what this needed to be because of what the state had given us to that, so.
This resolution is more or less following up was what
Yeah,
discussed.
yeah, so we'd already gone through
You
that.
guys, yeah.
So that might be
Strings
something
attached.
for next year to look at when we have something similar
Mhm.
come through
Yeah.
and see how it gets allocated at that point.
But this was
There's
a
still-
one-time thing and that was it.
Okay.
You don't get it again. This was just the state did this one time.
The Ohio Fire Department applied for the grant to come up with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think there is still some legislation going on for small city assistance yet being discussed, so. I think there's more funding coming for small cities, but to be determined, but we're talking about it. Okay, with that, use the voice vote.
Mayor Ryland,
Aye.
Councilman Phillips,
Aye.
Councilman Richards,
Aye.
Councilman Paul,
Aye.
Councilman Erb.
Aye.
Motion for consent agenda.
I make the motion. Or you made the motion for the consent? I'll do a second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Nice. Just a motion, it's not a resolution, but we're in that mode, yeah, okay. Oppose? That's approved.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
That's good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
9:16.
Wow. We're targeting 9 o'clock. So this is not bad.
I'm gonna get us to 2 hours. That's my goal.
Well, I mean, this is, we're moving. It's not 4. Okay, this is good.